Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm joined today by Ollie from the channel Societal Narcissism, which I should add is heavily suppressed, heavily shadow banned. And if you guys remember a while back, I did a video talking about a very insane narcissistic woman named Diane. She has a channel called Estranged Parents, and I did a video kind of covering her insanity because she put out this ridiculous video. I'm sure you guys remember my commentary video on it. And then Diane ended up coming after me for copyright infringement. I think she did the same thing to you, Ollie. I believe that's how I found your channel because
Right.
I was looking up to see because there were a lot of people that were doing reaction videos to her video that she
hmm
put out. And so I wanted to know how many other people has she gone after for like copyright strike. And that's how I found your channel. I think I gave you a shout out in one of my videos where I was talking about, hey, she's trying to like take my video down. I was able to successfully fight her false copyright strike, but I know other people, not everybody was. And so you had reached out to me and I said, we should do a video, we should collaborate because we've talked about very similar things, I think. So
Right.
you had a different experience. I mean, she went after your channel. It seems pretty hard.
Right. She gave me two. I got two strikes at 2 in the morning on just out of nowhere. And that video had been up for like 2 weeks already, but it obviously got under her skin pretty good.
Yeah, she obviously didn't like that. And the whole goal, I mean, for people who don't know, if you get two strikes on your channel, you're one away from losing the entire channel. So, what
Right.
she was really trying to do was not just take that video down, but have your entire channel removed.
hmm
So, what happened after that? Were you able to successfully fight those strikes, or did you have to wait for them to expire? How'd that work out?
Well, I tried to fight it originally. I put in an appeal. It was denied. And then I could have escalated the appeal, but if I lost it, I would have lost the channel completely. So at that point, for those who were following my channel, my wife had been in an accident. We were going through a lawsuit at the time. We had a lot of stuff going on. And this was not the time to lose the channel. I just couldn't afford it. So what I had to do is I had to stop posting until those strikes expired. Luckily, I got them on the same day, so I only had to wait the 90 days for them to expire. They both were gone, and that was that. So I kind of left it alone with her for a little while. I see she's still out there, so and I had to start doing her videos again because at this point, if she wants to come at me, go ahead. Like, go ahead. I'm in a much better position at this point. She
Yeah,
caught me at a weak time.
and I will say too, guys, if you're a content creator and you have to pause your content for 90 days, I mean, it doesn't sound like that's a big deal, but it really is, especially if you are reliant on that as like a main source of income. 90 days is like 3 months,
Right. That
right?
was our
Two, three
my
months.
job. That like this is my only source, our only source of income. My wife is injured. She's disabled now. Um, so we've been living on my channel for the better part now, I guess, of 12 years. This has been the consistent income. And for most of those 12 years, it's been the primary income. So like losing it completely at that point, and what was I, 50 at that, 51, just turned 51 at that point. Like, what do you do? What do you do? You go out, you try to find another, like, nobody's hiring at this point. Not a 52-year-old, who's been on YouTube for the last 11 years. You kind of got a gap in your work history and you put YouTube trying to explain that to some boomer HR like, forget it. So just waited out the 90 and luckily everything worked out with her injury and that. And I was able to ride out the 90 days and then, fire up the channel again. But when you do that, you know, people scatter, they forget you're around. YouTube's algorithm picks up, they start knocking people off and you almost not like you're restarting again because you still have your main subscriber base, but they put you in an awful position.
Yeah, it really is insane to me how weaponized like that system is of these false copyright strikes. I mean, fair use is pretty standard pretty well understood, especially if you're doing commentary where you are creating original content and you
Right.
are reacting to, and there are huge channels on YouTube that are specifically like reaction channels where
Right.
this is what they do, and that's fine. And none of them, have to worry about losing their channel because they ruffled the feathers of some insane narcissist who's going
Mm-hmm.
to spend, weeks trying to destroy somebody because that's how petty and vindictive they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just insane. So I want you to explain if you can, because I just found your channel when the whole Diane thing was going on, and I wanted to see who else she was targeting and going after. But you said you've been on YouTube for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Explain your channel, like societal narcissism. What is it about?
So I was 41 years old. I got screwed over in my job at IKEA. This is they they got rid of me 6 months before my 40th birthday. And in Florida, and like when you're in a corporate, and I'd only been with them for about a year and a half, and I was a retail loss security executive. I was with Macy's for 14 years as director of security in Macy's in New York City. I ran the Herald Square store for 5 years, downtown Brooklyn, Garden City. So I ran major locations. My whole basis was in loss prevention. When we moved down to Florida, I hooked up with IKEA, and the IKEA here, they had major shortage problems, and that was my space, cleaning up bad stores. So I got the shortage. I brought the shortage down something like $1.1 million in a year because merchandise was going out the back door. There was all this stuff going. There was just a bad, poorly run company. So but they always had this thing about hiring people over 40, IKEA, because once you're past 40, you go you're protected under senior rights, and it's much harder to get rid of you. So they make a decision. So
Oh.
yeah, so they just whoop, gone. And this is in July of 2012. Now, July of 2012, we're in the 2012 presidential race. And you remember what the economy was like back then. They've already extended unemployment benefits 99 weeks, go be an artist, you got all that going on. So now I lose my job and I'm trying to find a new one. Obama gets reelected and nobody's getting hired. Nobody's getting hired. So now you know, I'm stuck. My wife is working in a bar. It's like I can't find an interview. I can't find a job for a year and a half and nothing, and I have this background because I was raised by narcissistic boomers, a borderline mother, a narcissistic father. The whole reason we moved to Florida is because after my divorce, my mother got drunk, started making death threats against my new wife. I'm gonna kill. I recorded a phone conversation. It's called "Phone Call with Narcissistic Mother." It's the first video on my channel. It's the kickoff of my mother. This drunk phone call of my mother just losing her mind. Okay, just making death threats and everything. And after, we gotta go. Because I'm gonna end up in the back of a police car, because that's my parents' thing, is to try to get you in trouble with the authorities. Because
Oh,
once they can get you in there, then
I
nobody
know.
believes you.
Yep. Yes.
So here I am. I have this recording. I only had this recording at the time, so my brother understood what was going on, and other family members what was going on. So I had it and my therapist could hear what was going on. So I'm have it here. I'm out of work now for like a year and a half. Everything's going bad, right? And I'm seeing these people on YouTube posting all these type of things. Be your own boss, Well, let's just put this. I post the video. I mean, boom, it catches. I think the video now has like some 250,000 views. And I mean, that's not a mega viral, but it's decent.
Yep.
Okay. And that was the basis of it. So as my wife is working at this bar and I'm just in this awful 1 bedroom apartment, I just start talking into my webcam about my childhood and my upbringing and being raised by a narcissist and a borderline, and my mother's hypersexual activity, and the abusiveness and the name calling and and the drugs and the pornography all over the house and the sex parties and the my parents getting caught having sex on the little league field at 14 and the whole town finding out about it, you know. So this is what I'm talking about in the early days of my channel. And people are like, this is my mother, this is my father, this is my, I thought I was the only one, I thought I was freaking crazy.
Yeah.
And what the channel was doing was, you go to therapy, you talk to a therapist for an hour. And by the time you're getting into it, your emotions are all churned up and it's time to go. And then you spend the next 3 days in like this dark cloud. What the hell is it? What the hell was that? And most therapists, when you talk to them, they look at you and they give you their opinion, they give you this, but they don't validate anything. They don't give you anything in their personal life would say, hey, this is what happened to me and this. And I understand that they can't. They don't want to get too involved in person and people stalking them. I got that. I got that. But what I can do is by telling my story to people, and like it validates them instead of like, this therapist is giving me this blank look or these words I don't understand. And now I'm all torn up and kicked out after an hour to deal with this. At least now I have some validation that somebody and there's other people who have gone through this. And then the commenters are validating each other's experience because, like, I went through this too. So did I. Like, I thought I was the only one. So, it really, and then, it really just, and then it just progressed from there where people are like, you should be getting paid for this. Like, I'll pay you for, like, would you? And that's with a pay, and it started with a PayPal and, and a Yahoo email address. And I read your story, give you my opinion, and it went from there. And in the early days, when I got monetized, it was great. The ads were like, I didn't have to worry about having a contribution for every video or have to worry about like, oh, somebody gave me $2 and they want me to produce a video that's going to be 3 hours long, because everything would balance out because I was making money on it. It didn't really matter. It was about the content, you know? So, then it progressed obviously into politics and making the connections and, between, you know, societal and your personal life. Because the biggest question is, I would get in the early days, why are these people like this? How did this happen? What caused these narcissists, mostly boomers, to act like this? And in the early days, it was like, I don't know. It's just some people are born like that. It's a condition. Like, and I was acting like this just kind of fell out of the ether, like just this sprung up like a weed, but it didn't. It was created. It's all based in cultural Marxism. It's all based in communism. If you read Cloward and Piven, if you read Rules for Radicals, if you read their instruction manuals, it is a guide for narcissistic tactics, gaslighting, gang stalking, just general stalking, the lying, the calculation, taking your biggest strength and mocking you for it to make you think it's a weakness. All of that, those are all the tenets of Marxism, communism. And I say that, and I make this point. The communists had us at Senator Joe McCarthy, at the censure of Senator Joe McCarthy, because it was at that moment that 1954 post-boomer learned all to control their parents and to shut down any authority figure. All they have to do is scream McCarthyism. And nobody wanted to be labeled a McCarthyite. And from that moment on, those boomers had a power over their own parents and over society to just scream out McCarthyism anytime these narcissistic tactics are being used on anybody. They had us at McCarthy. They really did. And that's really the basis, I think, where all of this originated from, which is why they fight so hard, which is why their tactics are so brutal and so over the top, and yet so obvious to pick apart. And it's like right in your face. They're taunting you with it, which
Oh,
is the
yeah.
point. They taunt you with their degeneracy. They taunt you with their sloth. They taunt you with all of it. Like, basically, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And that's where we are.
Yeah, I agree. And I definitely can relate. I mean, I started my channel for different reasons. I just kind of wanted to start talking about politics, things I thought were interesting. And then after I felt more comfortable, because it was very weird to me, like being on camera or just like talking to random people. As I got more comfortable with it, I, started talking about a little bit about my childhood and my narcissistic mother. And so it just became something that I would occasionally cover on my channel. Not the focus of it for sure,
Right.
but putting that out there, I was surprised by, like you said, the amount of people who had similar experiences. Because when you're a kid, I mean, at least for me, when I was growing up, I knew from a pretty young age, like as soon as I started having friends over the house, that my mother was different from other people's parents. And so you kind of think that, this, it's just you that is experiencing this, and you feel very alone. And then to hear other people's stories, you're
Right.
like, oh wow, this is actually a lot more common than I knew. And so, I just think it's important to call these people out. They should be called out, and they hate it. They hate
Right.
anybody exposing them. My mother is an alcoholic narcissist as well. She wasn't always an alcoholic. But so my father, luckily, he's not a narcissist, but he just like wasn't around. So my parents, when I was very young, divorced. My mom left Pennsylvania, where we were all living, when I was 2. So I didn't even really know her. She just packed up and moved to Florida and left me and my sister with my dad. So my dad, my aunt, and
Really? What year
my
was
grand,
that?
that would have been, if I was born in 88, around 1990.
Wow.
So a
Okay.
long time ago. And
All right.
my dad we're a big Italian family. So basically, my grandparents and my aunt kind of like were raising us with, so my dad could work. But me and my sister, my sister was old enough that she had some memories of our mother. She's 2 years older than me. But I just remember, like, so my mom left to Florida, just left her kids behind, but then she wanted to get custody of us. And so I lived with my parents till with my dad until 3rd grade, and then she finally got custody of us. And I remember having to go through like the child court system. They made us see therapists, and the therapist would ask us who we wanted to live with. I didn't even really know my mother. She
Right.
had come down a few times to visit, and that was like the only experience I had with her. And I'm sure narcissists can put on a very good front. And I thought she seemed like a very nice woman. Looking back now as an adult, I can see how insane this whole thing was and how insane she was. Like, I remember me and my sister sleeping in our room at night, and my mother had come to Pennsylvania for other reasons, like not to visit us. She came
Right.
with some man, one of her many boyfriends, and broke into my dad's house and snuck upstairs, and she was drunk. And I remember her jumping up and down on the bed. Oh, my angels. Oh, I'm here to see you. Shh, don't tell your dad I'm here. And oh, wouldn't it be great to come visit me in Florida? And it was just so bizarre. And of course, you're a kid and you're like, oh, look, mom's here. How great.
Right.
You don't realize how weird the whole thing is.
Right.
And then she came one other time, I think, to visit. So my mom ended up getting custody of us. And so fourth
Where
grade,
was the
I had,
court in Pennsylvania? They went to family court in Pennsylvania for
yes,
that?
yeah. And of course, my mother found some mark, which is, what she does to represent her in court, to be her lawyer, some guy she was dating at the time,
Uh-huh.
dating, I say in
Right.
quotations. So she ended up, of course, winning custody of us because she got this guy who was a pretty good lawyer, worked for a big firm. And my father, he didn't have back then. Like, if you're a woman, you basically got custody of the kids, even though like he was the one that raised us. He was the one that would
Right.
play with us and spend time with us, and we had his family there and our life there and our friends, and we were just totally uprooted and sent to Florida. And it wasn't a situation where sometimes your parents live in the same state and you can go back and forth and at least see the other parent occasionally. We saw my dad after that maybe like twice a year, if we were lucky. So we were just stuck with my mother. And at first I thought, well, maybe, this is going to be good because she seemed like she wanted to have custody of us. I had no idea what it was going to be like until, I moved there. And then I realized that, like, oh, she just wanted to get child support
Yeah,
from
she just
my
wanted the child
dad.
support. I mean,
And
that's what I'm like, she's just about child support.
yeah, and she wanted to be able to kind of control his access to us, right? Like if he wanted
Right.
to see us, he had to go through her.
Right.
And so, I didn't know as a kid, you don't know anything about narcissism and whatnot, but I knew like once I became 12 and I had my first friend come over for a sleepover, and my mother's walking around in a lace teddy that, and my friends are like, your mom's weird. Then I
Yeah.
realized, yeah, okay, my mom is different. And she was, very hypersexual, like you said your mother was. Like, I
Hmm.
remember being in like third or fourth grade, and has some guy over that one of her many dates, and she's watching this like X-rated movie, and like me and my sister are kids and we're here, and I came out and saw it, and I just like, but to me that was normal, right? Because
Right.
that's all when that's how you're being raised. And so back then, she wasn't a full alcoholic because she still liked to drink, but she could actually function very well. She was a paralegal, so she always, she was in like the legal system and had
Right.
friends that were lawyers and judges,
Right.
and that's how it was. And so I remember like the first time she kicked me out of the house, I was probably 12, and
They
I
love kicking you out. They love that move, boy.
yeah, yes. And when you're 12, I mean, like, what are you
Where do you go?
supposed
Where are
to
you going?
do? So I went up to the Chinese restaurant at the end of the street to call one of my friend's parents. And I remember sitting out on the curb and waiting for my friend's dad to show up. And that was, I think the Chinese restaurant called the police because I remember a cop came to the house,
Right.
and she told the cops that I was out of control, that I, ran away to the Chinese restaurant, was just trying to get her in trouble because I didn't want to be disciplined. And by the end of that conversation, the cop had given her his phone number and she was going to go on a date with him.
Hmm.
And so the first thing you learn, like very young, when you have a narcissistic parent, is other adults aren't going to believe me, and that in fact they will take the side of the abuser and then
Right.
gaslight you and tell you you're the bad kid or you were doing something wrong. So
Hmm.
that was like one of my first experiences
Right.
trying to deal with her. And then, of course, as soon as that cop left the house, she went from,
Ape shit.
hello, officer, da da da,
Uh-huh.
pretending to be so nice. Yeah,
Oh, I know. I've seen the
the
switch.
mask is gone, and she's like, you fucking
Yep.
bitch, like screaming at the top, screeching and screaming at the top of her lungs. She would follow you around from room to room so you could not escape her. Like you wanted to go in your room to be left alone, she'd
You
be
sure we don't have
outside
the
the
same
door.
mother? You sure we
Yeah,
don't have the
right.
same mother? Like it's.
She'd be outside the door screeching and screaming. She'd literally follow you from room to room. Like you could not leave. And I
I
feel
know.
like that's so psychotic.
That is
Like,
my
what are you
mother.
hoping will happen in that
A physical
situation?
response. My
That's what
mother
I
would
was
do that
thinking.
until
That
she
they're
got a
trying to
physical response.
provoke something that they can then say, you're the one that's wrong. You're the bad one here.
And my mother was a Terminator. There was no putting her down. There was no stopping her. There was nothing. She would just keep coming for you. She would just keep coming at you. There was no slowing her down. There was no stopping her. The same thing, hypersexual activity, naked pictures of her on the refrigerator in lingerie, a full, a full oil painting over their bed of her laid out naked, full muff. I'm 3, 4 years old. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's me. Like, and then they get caught having sex on the Little League diamond when I'm 14 years old, freshman year in high school. That was awesome. Like, yeah, nobody made fun of me for that. Like, I didn't have to hear about that for the next 4 years, you know?
Right, right.
But here's the interesting thing about what you said about your mother, about when she left and the circumstances. And this goes with the difference between how the Gen Xers were raised and the millennial, because you're 88, you said you were born,
Yep.
so you're a millennial.
Yeah.
See, the Gen Xers, we knew they were full of it. We knew there was something wrong with all our parents because in the 70s and 80s, they were out of their minds. They were all out of their minds. And from the ages of basically 3, 4 years old until 14, Gen X ran the street. Our parents didn't know where we were, what we did. We were out of the house when at dusk, and we weren't back till the
Until the
street
sun
light.
went down.
Not even. If somebody had a pool, because I lived in the suburbs. If one of the friends had a pool, we were in the pool until 10, 11 o'clock at night. They didn't know. When I was a kid, they used to have to put on commercials. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children is, stupid? You dumb boomer. Like, you have any, hey, where are they? I haven't seen them since yesterday. Like, this is where they're at. And then when we hit 14, fifth, like 1988, 89, 90, when the Gen Xers are in high school, starting to date, starting to be interesting, now they want to be involved. Now they want to be us, kind of like your mother seeing what's going on. Now your mother's 1990. She has 2 kids, a 2-year old, and I guess a 4-year old. Now she wants to go party. Now
Yep.
it's all about, let's upgrade the man, move to Florida, party, but she wants her money too. She wants her child support. And now it's all about her parties, and
Yep.
that's the difference between, we both had it shitty. I mean, don't get me wrong. One didn't have it better than the other. It was
No, no.
both awful, awful.
Yes. Yeah.
But this is your mother trying to relive her
Oh,
youth now, you know?
she is perpetually 17. She has never progressed emotionally beyond that age. It's like they emotionally stunt, and then that's just who she is and always will be. So yeah, she moved to Florida to party, and because she wanted to upgrade her man. My mother's very entitled. She believes that she should be dating a billionaire, of course, and that money should go to her.
Of
And
course.
so when she moved to Florida, she was working in law firms, and she always had a slew of men that she was dating that were doctors, lawyers, dentists. In fact, when I was a kid and had to go to an orthodontist, of course, she couldn't be a normal person and like pay an orthodontist. She took me to an orthodontics place where she was dating the guy. And this is the person who did my braces the first time, didn't do it right. Um, and then she ended up breaking up with him or something happened, and I just, when you're a kid, it's like you don't know that that's what's happening. There are signs of it. Like when I was a kid, I thought my mom just had a lot of male friends. She just didn't like women. That's what she
Right.
told me, that women
Mm-hmm.
were mean to her and
Right.
they all hated her and they were jealous of her, obviously, and always
Right.
sought to undermine her every place she ever worked at, everywhere she ever went. And so you don't realize that, like, no, she's actually basically a sex worker.
Yeah.
But she's
Well,
a paralegal by day, but then she's,
right.
you know,
When every purchase has the option of cash, credit, or vagina, you're not going to have many female friends. You're just not, because she's paying
right.
through everything through her
And
vagina,
other
and
women, by the
that's where
way,
all her self worth comes from as well.
yes,
So
yeah, that's how
that
she defined herself, was
exactly
through how men saw her. And when you're an adult woman and you see another grown woman who has children behaving this way, yeah, you're not going to want to be their friend. So, in a way, like, it makes sense that she didn't have a lot of female friends. But what she would do is she would go out and she would meet people who she thought were from like the lower classes, and she would
hmm
befriend them, and then she would do favors for them so that they would owe her and become like her flying monkeys,
right,
and
right,
then she could have them do things for her. She would do weird things too, like she picked up some old woman that was homeless at the train station, brought this homeless woman into our house, let her shower, fed her, and the whole purpose of this was not because my mother was like a good person or cared about helping homeless people. No, she would do this so that she could use these people later on. She could call in favors and
right.
bring up to them that, well, I helped you when you needed it. It was so bizarre, and she was constantly doing that. And maybe part of it was like she could tell herself, like she could feel good about herself, like, oh, I did something good. I helped somebody. she never helped her own kids, or never
Right.
thought about us.
They'll do for a stranger what they will never do for their own children. And they do it for their own supply, and they do it so they look good, and they have, and again, like you said, they love planting their seeds of narcissism. They act like they're nothing the narcissist gives you comes without strings.
Yeah.
Everything has a string attached to it. And that string might take a couple of years to be pulled, but you better believe that that string is going to be pulled at some point and is going to be thrown up in your face the moment you don't give them exactly what they want. Now, your
Yeah.
mother comes off as definitely borderline personality disorder,
Oh,
the hypersexuality. I mean, that's BPD.
she probably does. I mean, I know it's more than just narcissism, right? And this was kind of, like I said before, she went full into the alcoholism, so she could still kind of semi function in society and fool people a little bit to a degree. But she would do things like, she put us in Catholic school because, of course, she has to always appear wealthy. And it's all about her status of my children are in Catholic school.
Well, isn't your
So
father paying for that? Because he's paying the schooling.
the child support.
Yeah, and he's paying for that. He has to pay for schooling as well. That's added on to child support, actually. I mean, especially in Florida, it is anyway.
Yeah, in Florida. So she put us in Catholic school, and I liked being in Catholic school and whatnot, but I knew then too that like the other kids, they all had like their parents were still married or they were at least normal. They had parents who would like show up for things. My mother never showed up for anything. She would, in fact, volunteer to take us on, like when the school did field trips, she would volunteer to drive a group of kids and myself to an event, and she just wouldn't show up. And I'd be sitting there like with these other kids, where's your mom? Where's your mom? And I'd be like, I don't know. She'll be here. She'll be here, just sitting there waiting and waiting. She never showed up. Then I'd come home. Somebody else's parents had to like pick us up and take us, or they'd send us home. I get home and she'd be like, "Oh, how was your day?" And just totally pretend like she didn't know she was supposed to show up. "Oh, I just thought somebody else's parents would do it." And I'm like, when you're a
Wow.
kid, you don't understand like what's happening, but she would do that over and over again, just
Right. She's trying to get
repeating.
your friends to hate you. She was trying to make you an outcast, and she knew what she was doing.
And it was all about her. I mean, she was just focused on herself. We were the afterthought, if anything.
And the whole
um
time, she's always just hanging out at home. It's not like anything came up, right? She was just,
Yeah,
uh,
or she's out with her friends, out
right.
with some guy she's dating, and that was our childhood. It was just her insanity. And then she ended up having an affair with her boss at the law firm she worked at. And this is how my brother was conceived.
Oh my
And
God, really? Okay.
yes, so, and I don't feel bad talking about my mother because what she did is indefensible. Like, this is the least of what she did. But I feel bad for my brother, honestly, because he had such a horrible life. She has an affair with her boss. My brother is born. Of course, her boss was married, and she ends up suing the law firm that he worked at and she worked at.
How old were you when your brother was born?
10.
10.
I was
Okay.
10 at that point. And she sues the law firm. She gets a six-figure settlement. Do you think that she saves any of that money, puts any of it aside for college, for
Wait a
like
minute,
high?
wait a minute. She sued the law firm
Yeah.
for getting pregnant by the
Yeah, because what she did, and I
what?
believe she probably orchestrated this situation because she's always scheming and like suing people, was she
Uh-huh.
engaged in a contentious email conversation with the firm manager. And the firm manager suggested that she take care of the pregnancy, if you know what I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
and not have the my brother. And so that was what got my mother the settlement, was that the firm had even made that suggestion. It wasn't the firm, it was just this manager who she was arguing with back and forth. And that's,
Arguing
yeah.
what though? That she got pregnant from the boss? What's her argument? Was she forced? Like, It seems like it's pretty consensual. So
Yeah,
what's the argument here? You're both grown adults. I understand he's your boss. Yes.
right.
Is she claiming that like he had took advantage of her? Like what exactly is like what does she want the law firm to do?
Well, she said that the firm was trying to bully her into doing something immoral, essentially. And so she was able to successfully get a six-figure settlement from the firm. And like what she did with that money was buy herself jewelry and to go on a trip to St. Martin, this lavish trip. She brought her new boyfriend with her. My sister and I had no idea that even happened because she literally hid it from us and lied about it. I didn't find out until a couple years later when I was flipping through a photo album and I saw her and this guy, and I knew that the background was in St. Martin, and I'm like, wait, was he there? She took this boyfriend with her, and then she had him leave before she had me and my sister flown out. And of course, her friend drove us there where she had left us home alone for, a couple
That was
days
my
while she
question. That
was
was my
doing
next
this.
question. Where were you while she's in
Yeah,
St.
my
Martin?
sister always had to take care of us.
She's a little, what was she like 16, 17 at the time?
No, probably 14, 13, 14.
What? She left the country and
Yeah,
left the 14-year.
literally.
Oh my God.
This is like what
Even
she
my
would
parents weren't
do.
that crazy. Even my mother
Oh,
wasn't that crazy. They weren't that crazy. They made sure like somebody was watching. Like, no, no,
oh no,
that's insane.
my sister was seen
In
as the
Florida, no
mother.
less.
Yeah, this is
Left a
South
14
Florida.
year old in
In
South Florida.
South
Wow.
Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was just the kind of thing that she did though. She would blow through money. She would never, she'd be driving like a BMW, but then she'd be eating like peanut butter sandwiches, and we all would be, so that she could have this like
Right.
outwardly lavish lifestyle. She always had her hair done, her nails done. She always made sure that she was taken care of before any of us. And then after my little brother was born, she would just milk his dad for every red cent she could get out of him. So then she was getting child support from my
Another
father
8 years.
and also from my
Right.
brother's father.
That was the first thing I'm like, that's why I asked you how old you were
Yeah.
when you were born, because I'm thinking like, did she get herself pregnant so she can pick up another child support check? And
That's
what
what she
she
did
got
with my
another eight
brother.
years out of it, right? Because you were the
Yeah.
youngest at the time.
No, well, my brother, yeah. After my brother
At
was
the
born,
time, you
she
were the
became the youngest. But
youngest. So
yeah,
now
I
he's the
was at that
youngest.
point. Yep,
So she had
because
another maybe 8 years of
I was
child support.
10, right? So, oh, let's start all over. And this was her whole life. Like, she's never at any point had to be accountable for anything. Like, there was always someone bailing her out or funding her lifestyle. And so she just, this is what she did. And then she ended up remarrying this poor guy, who she met from like our neighbor across the street was this older woman. And of course, my mother had to befriend her because that's how she is. And she found out that she had a son that was single. And then she dates that guy and then marries him, immediately has him take his house, and he owned his mother's house. So now she's got two
Two
houses.
houses.
Yeah. And then she just like he had a kid from another marriage, so that became my stepsister briefly for a few years. This is like what she would, it's just like is horrendous of like your entire life
Wow.
is just this insane thing of people coming and going and your mom being crazy. And so she took this guy. By the time he divorced her and left her, she had lost his, they lost the first house. They were living in the second house, which was a big house. It, fit the whole family. But I mean, this guy started out like in a good position. He had a good job. He
Right.
owned several properties. And by the time she was done, he had almost nothing because she
Nothing.
was blowing his money on nonsense, wanting to go to these lavish events to spend money. So, like the Catholic school I went to, part of how because the child support wasn't enough to pay for all of it, she would do these things. They had these fundraisers where they would hold silent auctions every year called like the mega event, is what they called it. And that would be an annual auction to basically fund the school projects and whatever. She would call around and get hotels to donate packages. She would get people to donate paintings and all this other crap for this auction. And that was basically we were able to go to school there because she did those things. But then she would make her husband go to this stupid silent auction with a bunch of other wealthy families, which she is not a wealthy person,
Right.
and she would make him bid on these, stupid, they're dumb things anyways, like these raffle
Hmm.
items. And he was just like, why do you just blow money constantly? Like, for what? He was not interested in it. So he left her. And then once that happened, she went into kind of like a, I guess, midlife crisis or something. And she got really bad. She was already bad, but like that's when she went full into like her alcoholism and was a
Right.
lot less functional, but still incredibly narcissistic. Like I remember too when me and my sister first moved to Florida with her, she would take us to like people's houses on Palm Beach on the island, and we'd be swimming in somebody's pool, and it would be one of her male friends. I remember that this is what we
Always.
were told at the
Why would
time,
you keep bringing
to
young
bring
girls
your
around
kids. Dude, exactly. And when you're a kid, you don't know. I remember she took us to this lawyer's mansion on the island, and he hated children. He had all these little glass knickknacks in his house. And I remember him telling us we weren't even allowed to be in the main house because he said children were sticky and he didn't want us touching any of his things. He put us in the pool house, me and my
Right.
sister, and he said, "Oh, you guys can swim in the pool and hang out in the pool house." While she was inside the house with him. What do you think they were? It's like you're bringing your children to
I
like
know.
sex work event. That's what
Yeah.
was happening. We
You're
didn't know
lucky
it at the
something didn't
time.
bad didn't happen with one of these guys. I mean, you're lucky. I mean,
And this is like when you're a kid too, it's so embarrassing where your mom has boyfriends everywhere.
hmm.
And oh, the doctor she took us to wasn't a actual pediatrician, he was a gynecologist, and this was another guy she was dating who was married, and they had like a 20-year long affair. She, like, you could not make this
Jesus.
stuff up if you
Yeah.
wanted to. It's so goofy. And so by the time her second husband left her, and she goes into the midlife crisis, I'm sort of like a teenager at that point. I started working when I was 14 because I just wanted to get out of that house.
Right.
And anything, working at Wendy's was better than being around her in her nastiness because she hated us. She was always miserable and resentful of us. We would hear all the time about how we ruined her life, and she could be doing all these fun, great, wonderful things if it wasn't for us. And
Well,
all
you
we
didn't
did
have to
was
pull me out of
drag
Pennsylvania.
her down. That's what she would
Yeah.
say. You're dragging me down. You're like an anchor just dragging me down. It's like you wanted us. You
Right.
took us from our life in Pennsylvania but this is the narcissist, right?
Yep.
They don't
Yep.
care, doesn't matter to anybody but them. And so when she was just getting progressively worse and worse, she was meeting men online at this point. I'm like 14 and 15. She's on, this was before Tinder and like these dating
Yeah.
apps. My mother was going on like match.com, plenty of fish in the sea, all these weird like boomer
Plenty of
dating
fish. Yeah.
websites,
Yeah. Yeah.
plenty of fish, whatever they were. She was meeting men online and then inviting them to our house, and she'd get passed out drunk, and she would have some guy coming from like New York, and she'd let him stay at our house for a weekend. I would have lock myself in my room,
Yeah. I
or I'd have to
would.
call my sister who had already gotten out of the house too as soon as she could. And she had, her boyfriend, they had a place. They would come and get me to get me out of the house because she'd have these strange men coming over. And then when she would suggest to my mother, hey, you've got like a young girl in the house, you can't be doing this stuff. My mother would be so insulted at the prospect that anybody would be interested in somebody that wasn't her.
Right.
Like that she
Right.
couldn't even fathom that this was somehow like not a good thing.
She
And
has the
so,
gold. She has the golden vagina. Every other one,
yeah,
and believe,
yes.
and, and a lot of times the reason she don't have a lot of female friends or any female friends because she sees them all as competition.
Yes.
She
And
wants to be queen bee.
she sleeps with their husbands or makes passes at them and like flirts with them, or
Yeah.
she crosses these boundaries. And that was like what she was doing. I mean, she did this to one of the kids I went to Catholic school with her their parents. She tried to date this girl Becca's dad, and he was already dating one of the other moms. And so like it that's what
See,
she
but
would do
what's the common
constantly.
see? What's the common denominator with your mother and all these men? What is it? They're all boomers. They're all boomers. That's what I'm trying to do. The entire generation is
Is
degenerate.
cooked.
79, I call it the 79% because there was this chart that was put out recently about asking the boomers if they plan to share their wealth with their family. 79% said they have no plans to share any of their wealth
What?
before they
Oh my
die. Yeah,
gosh.
I'll send it to you. It's hilarious.
That's
I did a video,
horrible.
so I call them the boomers, the 79% of the boom, and it's probably even higher than that's the 79% that would even admit to that. So the
Right. That
number's
would say
probably
that
higher.
publicly.
They're the ones who were just admitting to it publicly. Like, so you got to, the number's higher, but I'll leave it at 79%. Like,
This
they're
is just
degenerate.
their gener
Like they were all just banging each other, doing coke, doing drugs, talking about how great their music, you
very
went through it.
self-absorbed. Yeah, everything is about them. And so at this point, like it was getting really weird at the house. Like I'd have to go stay with my sister at times. My mom was doing all these crazy things. She was getting drunk. She did funny things like it sounds a lot like your mother, where she did this. I don't know why she did this, but she did a photo shoot of her in a negligee with a fur coat laying on a piano which belonged to her ex-husband, and she took the picture to send to him to taunt him that she still had his piano. And it's just like, who does these things? And then she would take these, the pictures, and of course frame them or put them in the photo albums with family pictures. And it's so weird too for my brother, who's a young boy, that this is the image he is learning of women from a young age, is
Right.
that they're all like this, which is not true, but it's just insane. And his father didn't like her bringing these weird men over the house all the time either. And she just was insane. So I fast forward to I'm 17 and I'm in high school, and I'm, working at night at restaurants, because again, anything to get out of the house. And I had to make my own money at that point, because she said I wasn't allowed to have a cell phone unless I bought the phone and paid the bill. And
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I get my paycheck, she'd come demanding that I give her the check so she could pay her utility bills. She'd threaten to throw me out and all this other stuff. And so that's, how it was. But she threw me out of the house one day, kicked me out, and put all my things out into the street. And I had to go to work. I was working as a hostess at a fine dining seafood restaurant. And so I went to work. I think she kicked me out beforehand. She told me I was being kicked out, and then,
Mm-hmm.
had this meltdown, punched me in the face right before I went into work, like in front of the restaurant while she was
Mm-hmm.
dropping me off. So I went in crying. Um, and I told somebody that worked there, like one of the waiters, what happened. And so of course she would also get drunk and not pick me up from work. I'd get stuck at work, and so they all knew like how she was. They'd have to occasionally give me rides home, because she'd be passed out on the couch with a wine glass in her hand. Somebody took me home, and she had just dumped my clothes in the street, and people had picked through like my underwear and stuff. It was so weird. I had to punch a hole in her little French doors in order to get in, because of course she changed the locks as well to be a
Right.
dick. And so I had to punch my hand through, and I still have like the scar from the glass to get in to unlock her door. Of course, she's passed out, so she doesn't hear any of this. To get in and get the last of my things that I could, I had this like little suitcase where I put all my stuff in it. And I had to sleep on couches after that, had to drop out of high school. At the same time, unbeknownst to me, she'd stolen my identity. So she had, was getting Comcast and AT&T bills in
Uh-huh.
my name,
Ruining your
running them up.
credit.
Yes, literally.
Ruining your
This was
credit.
how I go into the world, is that
Mm-hmm.
she's thrown me out. I'm sleeping on a bartender's couch. I'm living out of a tiny little suitcase backpack thing on wheels, and she is running up things in my name, utility, bills, Comcast $800, AT&T $1,000. She's trying
Jesus.
to get a mortgage in my name. She's trying to get credit cards in my name. She was unsuccessful in that, but the attempt was still showing up on my credit. And
Right.
so that is my I had no vehicle at the time. I was stuck sleeping at people's couches. Um, the restaurant I worked at as a hostess, luckily, they let me go through server training. They let me become a server so I could work doubles, 12
Right.
hour shifts to earn some more money and try to get myself on my feet. But it was a very dangerous situation, obviously.
How old are you that you're 17 at this time?
17. Yeah, I had to
Is
drop
that
out of
legal?
high school.
Can she kick you out at 17 in Florida? I didn't
I
think so. I
don't
thought it was
know,
18.
but she did. And I believe she
Yeah.
was still collecting child
Of
support
course
from
she
my dad
was. Oh, well,
at the
I
same
know. Well,
time.
let me tell you this. I know they'll collect in Florida because
Yeah,
the order's out of Pennsylvania. So
right,
it's
right.
whatever the age of the emancipation age in Pennsylvania it is.
Right. And
So
nobody knew,
yeah.
like, nobody notified any court and said, oh, hey, she kicked her kid out. He was like sleeping
Hmm.
on people's couches. Nobody knew that.
Why didn't you
They
call your dad?
I tried, but my father and I didn't have the greatest relationship at that point.
Right.
He went through some things like when I was 12, he was a drywall finisher, so he did
Hmm.
like manual labor. He fell off a scaffolding and injured his back. He was put on painkillers, which they then took from him after 6 months without any kind of like treatment. So he started, using heroin and stuff like that. He'd gone in
Ooh.
and out of rehab, and so he
Hmm.
just and I hardly ever saw him. So I think I did call him and he did, he sent me some money a couple times, but it wasn't like
Right.
he could
He had
really
his own
he had
problems.
his own problems, and he remarried, he had other kids. It was just not, I don't know. He did what he could to help, I think.
He should have done more. Listen, he should have done more.
Well, he always said I could always go back to Pennsylvania and live with them, and I just didn't. I hated Pennsylvania too. I didn't want to go back
Oh, you
there.
didn't even
And
want to. You liked Florida at that point.
yeah, I actually did like Florida at that point, and I had some people who helped me out. So this is how she was and is and remains. She's just gotten worse into her alcoholism. She always has these schemes of suing people and doing all this nonsense. And um, she spent years going to school to become a mediator. And like she is in her 60s now and she's still trying to become a mediator. And my sister, because I cut off all contact with her, she's not allowed to talk to me because of how she is. She will not be, she'll never
Right.
admit that what she did to me was wrong, that she shouldn't have thrown me out, or that it even happened. Like, she doesn't even
Right.
acknowledge it. She just says, well, you were out of control and, I just did what I had to. And it's
My
like,
mother, that was my mother's fit. She's out of control. Get the bat. She used to keep a Louisville slugger behind. She used to say to my little shitbag brother, Michael, get the bat. You go run. Here it is, mommy.
oh
And she
God.
starts swinging a Louisville slugger at me.
My mother used wooden spoons. That was her favorite. um yeah, it's just the insanity and how they do this too, of like playing kids off of each other. She'd be real nice to my sister at times, when she was mad
Right.
at me, or she'd use my brother um to play us off of each other. It's very sad. And so she has just, after that happened and she threw me out, I was able to luckily survive. I became ironically a paralegal myself because I didn't know what else. I didn't know what to do, first of all, but I ended up getting a job at a real estate office. I called them like every single day for a month, and I'd leave my resume. Like, I live walking distance because I was sleeping on the bartender's couch. So
Right.
I got that job, and then I used that to parlay that into getting a receptionist job at a pretty big law firm in downtown West Palm Beach, and they just trained me to be a
Hmm.
paralegal. But yeah, people, they like, my mom was known in the legal community. Thank goodness she had a different last name than me, because she kept her ex-husband's last name because it sounded fancy. It was like a fancy German last name. And
Hmm.
so she it just like sounded better, so she kept it. So like,
Right.
but some people still knew her from her prior name, and when I would be interviewing at law firms, they'd be like, is this your, is so and so, I don't want to say her name and dox
Right.
her, but like, is this your mother? And I'd be like, I'd either say no or I'd say yes, but we're nothing alike.
Right.
You know?
I would when people would ask me, like, if I don't want to get into my bed, and I still use this when I don't want to get into my bed, like I just don't want. Ask me about my parents. Oh, they died on flight TWA flight 800. That's it. That ends all question. Oh, that was terrible.
Oh,
I can't
that's
talk.
sad.
Yeah, that's sad, and that's it. Like if I don't want to deal with it, they were on flight 800. That was it. They're gone. Because to me, well, my mother's gone. I haven't talked. My mother died in 2018. My father, I haven't spoken to in 14 years. So for all intents and purposes, he might as well be gone too. I'll tell you this though, as I'm listening about your mother, I'm trying to figure out how to get her hooked up with my father because I would love to see her destroy his life. Because he's
Wish
just,
you
oh, let me tell you, he's just as bad with the only reason he has any money is because of my mother. My mother was like what was like a money Nazi. So, but once I know he's blowing through
would. Oh, yeah.
millions. I know he's blowing. And same personality. If he could screw you out of money, he's going to do it.
Yep.
We had this old woman who lived across the street from us, Dorothy. She was married for a month. Her husband went to World War II, got killed in the war. Never remarried. Lived in this giant house, you know, for for the entire time until 1994 comes out. 1994 hits, and my father finds her in her front at the bottom of her stairs, her front brick stairs. She fell. She was like 86 years old, 88 years old at the
Aw.
time. Took a tumble down the stairs, finds her, calls the hot, starts taking care of her. Okay. Dies 6 months later. Okay. What do we find out when she died? Oh, guess what? Dottie was so happy with the way I was taking care of her. She left everything to me. Like, what? What? Oh, yeah, yeah. We went, she signed every. You got her to change her will to leave you her house, her money, her stocks, all her possessions. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I earned that. I took care of her. What did you do? You just checked in on her. Like, what are we doing here? The night,
That's
and this is why
insane.
I'm telling you. He says this. He's like, well, let's go over there and see what we're getting. Like, what? The night she died, my mother, my father, my brother are ransacking that house.
Oh my God, that's
Like
terrible.
anything they could, like, and it was, I mean, it was a nice house. It was like they ended up selling the house, having a full estate sale,
My
clearing out her bank. Everything went to my father. He ended up with like $450,000 from that. And then they go and they buy shore properties, move on to when my grandmother dies in '06, my mother's mother, the ultimate narcissist, the ultimate piece of garbage. Not that I'm defending her, but my mother and father had went over to her house because they hadn't talked to her in like months, and she's not letting them in. And my mother forced her way in, and they show up at my house. I lived a couple blocks away. This is when my first wife. They show up at my house, like all in, like just like, oh, I looked in the house. It's hoarded out. It's a goddamn disaster. She's not like. I'm like, what do you care? You hate her anyway. Like, we can't do this. We don't know what she's doing. She could be giving all her stuff away. I'm like, well, if you're that concerned, and they didn't know what to do because they're dummies. If you're that concerned, and this is in New Jersey, I'm still in New Jersey at the time. You call adult DIFUS. That's what they used to call it. Adult services. We used to call it adult DIFUS, Division of Youth and Family Services. So this is on a Sunday. I make a call to the adult services, like, this is what's going on. 2 days later, I'm at work. I'm in Jersey City at the time. I'm running that store as director of security. My father calls me. He's like, the state's at Virginia's house. They're taking her to Bergen Pines. That's the mental hospital. They're removing her. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, oh God, because whenever there's like authority, like my father turns into the biggest wuss. Like he's the biggest wuss when there's real authority around, he don't
Oh,
know what
that's
to do.
funny.
Like he don't know what. So then I'm good enough. Then because I know how to deal with all this shit. Okay, I'm like, call up and tell the out. I'm like, cover me. I gotta go. I tell him what's going on. go to my grandmother's house. I don't want to go. They're dragging her out. I'm like,
Oh,
and I haven't talked to her in like 3 years at the time because the woman was garbage. And like I wanted nothing to do with her. And she sees me and she's like, that's my government. I'm like, you gotta go, Virginia. And then they load her in and I slam that. Those ambulance doors close and they pull off. As soon as the ambulance and the cops turn the corner, who's chugging down the road? There's my father. He was waiting at the corner for everybody to freaking leave. Why? So he could get into Virginia's house and start looking around. So here he comes, pulls up. He goes, let's go look at this place. All right. So we go in it, and the place is a disaster. Like she shouldn't have been there. Like she was going to burn the place down. Clearly, she didn't belong. So he goes and he goes right for the kitchen drawer. I'm like, where are you going? Where you look? He goes, I know where she keeps her safe combination. Okay.
of course.
Okay. Go down to the base, even finding the safe because it's in the basement because everything is a hoarded out net. When we cleared this place out, we had two 40-yard dumpsters full to the rim out of this house. Opens up the safe, pulls out the will. The entire will is changed. She's leaving all her money to some friend. We're all pieces of garbage. She's cutting out everybody except my mother's one sister, Ginny. Everyone else is cut out of the will. What does my father do, knowing that she's in a mental hospital and not getting out? Tears up the will, tears up that version of the will because he still had the original copy
You're
of the first
kidding.
will, which my mother was the executor of because
Oh
she
my
changed
God.
executors all. And if you don't have the original, you're a paralegal. If you don't have that original will and that's gone, it's gone, and there's nothing left to contest it, that was it. So
Wow.
then they just took all her. And listen, it was probably right. You can leave your money to whoever you want. Okay. I don't feel bad for her like that they did it because she was such a miserable person. But this is the level. My father would have done that to anybody,
Yeah,
whether
right.
she
Like the
deserved it or
scheming.
not.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean, this is who he was. This is who he is. This is what he does. This is why I would love to get him hooked up with your mother. I'd love to see them destroy each other.
Oh,
It'd be
my mother is the
hilarious.
same way with these like nuisance suits. She's the exact opposite. When she is around people in a authority figures or people in power, her mindset is that she's smarter than them and
Yep.
that she can fool them and trick them or
That's my fault. That's my fault.
use
I'm
her.
smarter than everybody. I'm
Yeah,
smart.
she's the smartest person in the room, obviously. And if she's not smarter than everybody, she can, use her looks and her charm to get her way. That was always her mindset. She had no fear of any. And because she worked in the legal system, she also felt like she knew these how these people operated and could like appeal to their narcissism, their egos, flirt with them, and like she knew exactly how to deal with these people to kind of get what she wanted out of them.
Right.
And she would sue people for random things, and she's won several different lawsuits. Like I said, she won the suit against my brother's dad's law firm. And
Right.
so as she got older though and went into her alcoholism, she's gotten a lot less competent. And so now the kinds of things she's involved in is she you can look up her name, and I'm not going to say it, in
Right.
the area where she's at in Florida, and you can see numerous nuisance lawsuits where she's tried to sue McDonald's because she claims she was food poisoned. She's got all these different. She tried to sue the place where she's like renting the house she was living at, the development
Uh-huh.
center, for something because
And
she
it's easy.
fell.
And listen, in Florida, you can sue
That's
anybody.
true. And I
It
think she's
is.
kind of learned that lesson too when
Yeah.
she was younger, that she's gotten away with this stuff. Oh, I was drunk and I fell walking my dog, so I'm going to sue the community.
Hmm.
Um, you know, this is the kind of stuff she does. And right now, because she's gotten so bad into her alcoholism that um she had a neighbor, and this neighbor is just as bad as her, another old narcissist, because this is now, she's like in a 55 plus community. And
Right.
so she's dealing with a lot of people like herself. She
Hmm.
has this neighbor she doesn't like, and a couple years ago, and I made a video about it on my channel. My mother got arrested because it was just such a stupid
Oh,
story.
she got arrested?
Yeah,
Nice.
she she went to this neighbor lady who she doesn't like, and she's like in some competition with, put up blue lights on her tree, and my mother, I guess, had similar blue lights or had the same ones, and she felt like this was an attack on her personally because she's so important. It's like people just put up blue lights at Christmas time, like you're not special, it's not
You're
about
ruining
you.
Christmas because I put up blue lights. Now I'm going to have to get rid of them.
Well,
Now I'm
she
going to.
she went into the neighbor's yard and she vandalized their property. She pulled
Psycho.
down their
Oh,
lights and destroyed
of
them.
course she did. Of
But of
course she did.
course, this was caught on camera because now everybody has these Ring devices. Everyone's got
Hmm.
these cameras. So she was charged with criminal mischief. And
Right.
this woman was real because she's just like my mother, psychotic. She spent every single day calling them, making sure that like something was going to happen to my mother, trying to get them to move forward. Because for police, like somebody vandalizing someone's yard is not that it's not on high on the list of priorities. And there was
Right.
a COVID backlog of cases, so it was taking a while.
Uh-huh.
Well, 3 years go by, and my mother finally has to go to trial for this criminal mischief thing. And of course she's calling my sister asking for money to pay for a lawyer to get her out of it because that's kind of how how Florida is.
I
You
know.
can buy your way out of these things. So my sister wouldn't give her the money. My mom found some simp to give her the $2,000 to hire a lawyer to get it um
She can't even find
squashed.
2 grand to hire at this
No,
point as a
no,
wow.
no. Oh, she's not
Wow.
even working anymore. She's so full into her alcoholism. All she does is drink wine every day. And in the morning, she's, sick because she drinks so much. She's in the
She
bathroom for
drive? She
several
drink and
hours.
drive too? Is that one of her
Oh, she
moves?
always did when we were younger. I don't know if she's still driving now. I think she gets her alcohol door dashed to her now at night. So she's not at least out driving around. But yeah, she gets boxes of wine door dashed. And so she ended up, somehow it was dismissed, but it still remains on her criminal record that she has this criminal mischief charge.
Right.
So my mother has not been able to get any new paralegal jobs, not just because everyone knows how ridiculous she is and they all kind of know in the community not to hire her because every place she goes she has
Problem.
problems. um so she has this charge, even though it was like dismissed. She has to pay to get it expunged from her record, which she hasn't done yet because she doesn't have the money to do it. So she's
Right.
got this criminal mischief charge. And she just still thinks she's going to be a mediator. And she had got her degree, but she has to do this. You have to shadow for a certain amount of time, you have to do these volunteer hours. So she's trying to do that, but she's like totally not functional. It's like not going to happen at this point too. She's in her late 60s. It's like, what is she
Nobody's
has
hiring
these
her.
dreams
Yeah.
though, where she tells my sister she's going to be making millions of dollars. When I say she has not progressed since ever, of 17 years old,
Oh, I know.
emotionally stunted, and like the delusional fantasies.
I
She
know.
always had these delusional fantasies that she was going to make millions of dollars.
I say
She
borderlines never leave the middle school lunch table. They're
Yes.
always going to be the jealous co-captain of the cheerleading squad.
Mhm.
That's how she operates.
Yeah, and for narcissistic mothers too, like they hate their daughters. They're in competition with them always. When I was a kid, like I wasn't allowed to hug my mother. She would get mad about that. Like she was not, we weren't allowed to touch her. They're just,
Really?
yeah, yeah. Unless, of course, you were in front of other people and she wanted to
Mm,
put on a facade. Then she would pretend that she'd be overly loving towards us, but
oh,
then behind closed doors, she hated us, she resented us, and was constantly competing. And when you're a child, like you don't see yourself as in competition with your mother for anything. That's the person who's
yeah.
supposed to take care of you and supposed to love
Did you
you.
want to hug her? Did you like actually
When
want
I
to
was a
hug
little
her?
kid, yeah, of course, because
Really?
she
Okay.
was my mother, and I was always trying to get her love and approval, never was able to get it. And, for a big part of my childhood, I locked myself in my room and escaped into books, because
Hmm.
in books I could at least experience what it might be like to have a normal, loving family.
Right. See, that's where I differ from even a lot of my subscribers is that I learned at a very, very young age, at 4 years old, that I hated my mother. Her touch disgusted me. Like, don't it would make my skin crawl. It would give me goosebumps. I didn't want to touch her. I didn't want you touching me because everything she did was hyper. She made everything sexual. Everything with me and my brother. She loved it. She got off on it. It's
Oh,
what
it's so
it's what
creepy.
mode oh yeah, it screws you up. And
Yeah,
the
I would.
borderline mother, they compete with their daughters and they try to emasculate their sons. They like try to
Yes.
turn them into a son husband.
Oh my God. That's what she was like with my brother.
Yeah.
That was her. She would call him the Prince of Palm Beach.
Yeah.
I
The
kid
son
you not.
husband.
The son husband. Yeah. And she would dress him up like in little suits and stuff like he was an adult or so. It was very weird. And then after her other husband left her when I was still a teenager, and I had like friends over. I had a friend that brought her boyfriend over one day. And my mom always wanted to be like, if I had friends over, she wanted to be the cool mom, right? She wanted to
Right.
party with everybody, of course. So she'd allow people to drink and smoke pot at the house and whatnot. But I remember her doing like like she brought out her toy box to show my friend's boyfriend when we were in high school. Literally, I'm not making it up. It had videos, inappropriate items and videos in it, and she's passing this around like for people to look at and flirting with this minor in front of his girlfriend, my friend. That's the kind of thing she would do. And
I could
then,
beat that.
oh yeah, oh no.
When I would bring girls home, like because we had a finished basement, a pool table, and I would never bring girls back if my parents were there.
Right,
But
because you
she
knew.
had this fucking sixth sense that she knew when I was there with a girlfriend. Also, oh God, she's here. What's the matter? It's just your mom. No, you don't understand what you're about to experience. You don't understand. And once they experience it, and you leave like, holy shit, what the hell was that? Like it was worse than you even described because you can't put it into words.
Right,
My mother would come down, would find a reason to come down the basement, usually to do laundry,
right.
and either she would
In
come
the
in
middle of the night or
skimpy
whatever.
in a skimpy nightgown or a t-shirt, and she'd start bending over
Yep.
in front of it, like is your mother trying to have sex with you? Probably. Yeah, probably. She's out of her fucking mind. Did you miss what's on the refrigerator? Did you miss the refrigerator? I guess you did.
Yeah.
So so yeah, I mean that's my experience. That's the experience. And the thing with your mother is they all think they're brilliant. They all
Yeah.
think they're tricking the world. They all think
Yep.
they're getting over and they're basic. And when you show them that you're not any different than any other of these sociopaths running around, it hurts them to their core.
Oh yeah.
One other thing you said about admitting you're right or wrong about in regards to my father. My father's famous line, okay, is like when you had him cornered and you had the point on him and there was no more arguing your way out of it, he would just look at you and say, even when I'm wrong, I'm still right.
Okay.
Even when I'm wrong, I'm still right. And he'd say it with that friggin' smirk on his face.
Oh my
Like,
God.
okay, okay. So you know you're wrong. You just won't
Yeah.
admit it. So you know, and you're just taunting me at this point. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds about right. That's what they do. She also, like when she was having her midlife crisis, she would bring young men to the house that she'd call her boy toys, and some of them were younger than me. And again, I'm like a teenager. It's just so weird. And then, of course, she'd had the older guys as well. But this thing of like preying on young men. She wanted to be like a cougar, I guess. She thought that this was cool. And for her, it's like, oh yeah, I'm still hot, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, what you're actually doing is preying on young people who are naive and don't know better.
My
Um,
mother told me, I had a better body than Charlene, my wife, my my now what? She would tell me that, like,
what a bizarre thing to
I
say.
had better I had better boobs than Corinne. I had a better ass than Cindy. Like, this is my youth and my child and my adolescence and my adulthood. At 35 years old, she told me she has a better body. She had a better body than, we were dating at the time. And my girlfriend, what is wrong with, like, why would you
Like, who
say that to
thinks,
me?
right? Why does that thought even enter your mind? Like, what? So
Because
bizarre.
everything about my mother is either vodka based or sex based. That's it. That's all she's about. That's all she's about. And money, keeping
Yeah.
money, not spending it, keeping money.
Oh, my
But
mom is
that was
spending
my
it.
mother's her entire existence. That was it.
Good Lord. Nightmarish, my goodness. Well, and this is how these people act. At no point will she ever self-reflect. At no point will she change her behavior. She will do the same thing over and over again, then cry about it when it doesn't go as planned, and she gets herself into bad positions, and then it wants everybody else to bail her out. My brother's dad is still bailing her out, and my brother's in his 20s now. You know what I mean? Like, this is just what
Wait.
she
Your
does.
brother's dad, who she sued,
Who she
she sued
sued,
this,
his
who
firm.
she's it's still giving her money
Yeah.
outside of child support.
He does
It is
he's
like, well, he's emancipated by now too, right?
my brother is in his 20s now, so there's
Yeah.
she's not getting more child support from him, but he will still bail her out. And my sister has told him, you don't have to keep bailing her out. And he said, well, if he doesn't, she will whine to my brother, and he doesn't want my brother to have to deal with her in her nonsense. And of course, she's trying to convince my brother that he needs to move back in with her because she wants his father to pay for her place to
No,
live.
never.
This is
You
how
can't let
she
him do that. You can't let him do that.
no, and it's my brother has kind of cut my mother off. He feels bad totally cutting her off because she has nobody else, and him and my sister, they just won't do. I have gone no contact with her since she threw me out of the house. I've
Hmm.
had some interactions with her, but really not. And I didn't press charges against her when she stole my identity when I was young. I mean, they told me there was nothing I could do because she had my social security number except press charges. I didn't do that out of respect for her, to the fact that she's my mother. And as Christians, you're told you have to honor your parents and whatnot. So you feel bad about it, but after my own daughter was born, my mother met her one time when she was 9 months old, came to visit. Of course, she brought some guy with her. And the entire thing was all about her.
Right.
And that's the only time she has met my daughter, who's now 12. She has nothing to do with her. And I had told her because I had to block her because she would call me drunk, and I'd say, don't call after 8 o'clock because I'm putting my child to bed. Like, that was my boundary. And she, of course, could not maintain even that. She'd call at 11 o'clock at night. And leaving these insane voice messages where it's almost like she thinks she's having a conversation with somebody. She's,
Hmm.
starts out, hello, it's your mother who you forgot about, blah, 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 blah.
I didn't
And
forget
then
you. I didn't forget you.
no, I know. Like, I don't want anything to do with you. And then she like, you ungrateful. She's, yelling and then she's crying. Then she's laughing. The whole slew of emotions are left on this one voice message where she's literally talking to herself.
Hmm.
And all these, different. And then at the end of the message, she's like, okay, honey, call me back. And it's like, what are you thinking? This is the
Psychotic.
insane. Then she will contact my husband's family online. She will message them and send them psychotic messages about how I am being kept from her and prevented from talking
They
to
have
her.
to believe that.
That
They have to, because then she has to look in the mirror and accept why
it's
you
so
won't
weird.
talk to her. She has to keep on
I have
the
told her
facade.
repeatedly, I don't want to talk to you. No one is preventing me from talking to you. My husband's not doing that.
You know what
I just don't want to talk to you.
you know you made the same mistake I made. You should have prosecuted her.
Yeah, probably.
Because I had my parents dead to right in 2015 when my the divorce agreement from my first wife, she was supposed to have me removed from the mortgage. She was going to take over the house payments and stay in the house. That was the agreement in the divorce, that she was going to refinance the house in her name and get me off. And it was in the divorce agreement. And the last mortgage payment she made was the day before the divorce went final. And she never made another payment. And in 2015, I get served with foreclosure papers in New Jersey, from New Jersey. And I'm like, what is going on here? And she won't pick up the phone. She won't answer. And I call the law firm and I'm like, yeah, I just got served with this. I'm not even supposed to have anything to do with this house anymore. And she's like, well, yeah, but you signed the mortgage modification. I'm like, what mortgage? What are you talking about? What mortgage modification? What do you mean mortgage modification? He goes, well, we have it here when she refied 6 months ago. She refied and, you signed the modification. And I'm like, I had never heard of any. I'm like, can you send that to me, please, so I can see it? And he's like, sure, sure. And it comes through and I call back and I get a different agent. And the agent, we can't send you that. I'm like, no, 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 I already have it. The last agent said, and he's like, oh, they weren't supposed to send you that. Well, I have it in my hand and I'm looking at this signature and it's not my signature. Well, do you know whose it is? I'm like, yeah, it's my father's. How do you know that? I'm like, because I was
Because
because I
he's
was a
my
security
dad.
executive for 19 years and I'm trained on forgeries and handwriting for credit fraud and check writing and all that. Okay. And I know my father's signature. Okay. I'm right-handed. This is written by somebody who's left-handed by the direction of the letters. And he's like, oh yeah, I can see that too. He's like, I'm not even a handwriting expert. I'm like, do you have my original loan paperwork from HSBC? He's like, and they looked. I'm like, and then they pulled up the signature, like, oh, and the guy goes, oh my God. He's like, we got a problem here. He's like, so they sent me, was it an affidavit or something that I had to certify that, yeah, this isn't my signature. I had to sign my name like 5 or 6 times just so like they knew. And then I get the panic calls. Then I get the panic call from my mother. What are you doing? You like we didn't sign anything. I'm like, and this is
Really?
another call I have recorded. It's on my channel. It's called Gaslighting Mother Lying on Phone, where I got them, I didn't know anything. They didn't do it. And then it goes, Matthew, I didn't know anything about this. I'm like, not my problem. Not my problem. I'm like, this is a forgery. You forged my name and wrote my social security number on a loan for a mortgage. For a mortgage. I did this for night. And I'm like, and this is part of the problem, mother. You never respected me. You didn't respect me as a man. You didn't respect me as a professional. You didn't respect anything I did. Not one of you stopped to think and say, hey, this is what he did for 19 years, is arresting people for credit fraud and check kiting and theft. And like, he's going to be able to spot this immediately.
Of course not.
Immediately. Then it turns into, you got to understand it. I didn't know anything about this. I'm like, not my problem. Then I get the call from the ex-wife. They're going to put us out in the street. You and your daughter, you're going to have your daughter living in the street. I'm like, hey, you're living off my parents as it is. They funded the divorce. They funded your lawyer when we got divorced.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
They got
Wow.
3 houses, millions of dollars. Why would my daughter be out in the street exactly? If they care, why would that happen? And she's just and at this point, she was alienating me from my daughter. She wouldn't let put her on the phone. I couldn't talk to her. It had been like a year since I talked to
Oh.
her. And I said to her, I'm like, I want a relationship with Erin. That's my daughter's name. I'm like, you want me? You want this to go away? Because here's the thing. The loan company still didn't want to, they still wanted to turn this into an actual modification. They still didn't want to do it. So
Oh my
they said if they
God.
could get me to sign a new agreement,
Yeah, because
and
they
not
didn't.
get me to prosecute. And
Right.
at that time, all I wanted was a relationship with my daughter.
Aw.
So I agreed. And my wife told me, don't, you're making a mistake. You're making a mistake.
Yeah.
And that was in August. And I talked to Aaron a couple times a week. Everything was great up until Father's Day, that
Aw.
following Father's Day. And no call all day until like 11 o'clock at night. And it was just like, why are you calling me? And it was this whole thing. And like, Aaron, like, what is it? And then it was like, you're a piece of garbage and yada, yada, like on and on and on. And what it was my father couldn't deal that I had a relationship with my daughter. And he told her, you know, I'll take care of it. Stop paying the mortgage, stop letting him talk to him, stop letting him have a relationship. And then when I looked, the house went back into foreclosure again because that May she stopped making the mortgage payment. She made the mortgage payments for
Unbelievable.
like 8 months and then just stopped again. So like that's the levels that I'm dealing with there. It's just, so yeah, that's 2015. That's and I regret it to this day. I regret it. I should have prosecuted because I would have
Yeah.
nailed. I mean, they had no way out. I had them dead to rights. I had the paperwork. It was clearly my father's signature. It was forgery. I mean, and I know how to force a prosecutor to prosecute. Okay, this is what I did for 19 years. Okay, so I could have followed through on this. But did I want to have my daughter's mother, grandfather, my mother, yeah, because my mother, she had no real her knowing about it wouldn't have gotten her prosecuted. But my ex-wife and my father, who signed the document, I had them both dead to rights. And I was telling, and I told, because at the time, like at that point, I'm like, I'm fighting for custody now. Now I got him, and did I want to pull Erin out of her school, make her live in
Right.
Florida now? Because the whole reason like I told you at the beginning, the whole reason I lived in Florida, I had to move to Florida is because this is the levels that my parents would go to get me under control. They would have staged some kind of domestic violence. They would have. Like the last Christmas before I moved, I had to do a civil standby to pick up Aaron on Christmas Day because, and this is before the divorce was finalized. My ex-wife was telling me that she kept threatening me that she was going to have me arrested for domestic, that she would hit herself in the face with a frying pan or throw herself down the set and then
Oh
call the
my
cops on me.
God.
So we had set up for the exchange. And then my lawyer says, you better have a civil standby because I know her lawyer and I know her lawyer is garbage. You better have a civil standby. So have the police. I'm waiting at the house. They're at Christmas at my parents' house. Was going to be picked up at our house, the house we were living in, and the cops are there. And now they're like 10 minutes late, and finally they show up. And she gets out of the car. She's like, "What are you doing? You brought the cops here. How dare you?" I'm
How
like,
dare you?
I'm like, Carrie, you're threatening to hit yourself in the face with a frying pan or throw yourself down the stairs so you can have me arrested. What do you want me to do? And she says in front of four cops in the middle of the street, I'm just doing what my lawyer tells me to do. And the sergeant turns around to her because they all know, like, our the guy across the street was a cop in town. He wasn't there, but they all knew us. Turns right around to her and says, I suggest you not say another word. And I doubly suggest you never say that statement again.
Oh my God.
And the color just ran, like she just like ran from her face, and that was it. And
Wow.
that's where me and my now wife, like, we got to get out of here because this isn't going to
Yeah.
stop. They are going to try to get me in the back of the police car. And once they got that on your record, there ain't no getting rid of that. They want to
Yeah.
hit you with that. They want to hit you with that scarlet letter. They want to give you that black mark. So that way, whenever you say anything, there's the instant invalidation to listen to anything you have to say.
Oh, 100%. I mean, my mother has made numerous threats to have me arrested. And she's threatened my in-laws as well. Like, this just the craziest, and she believes she could do it. Like, she really is that arrogant that she thinks on her word she can just have people arrested for literally nothing. She'll
My
make
father wrote a
something up.
letter. My father wrote a letter to my therapist telling her if she doesn't stop seeing me, that he's going to sue her, take her practice, humiliate, go to
Sounds
the
like my
papers.
mom.
Another one of his favorite lines
Oh,
is,
yeah, going to the media.
I can buy and sell you every day. I can buy like what are you talking about, you fool? Like what are you talking about? I can buy and sell you every day. Like,
The
jerk.
grandiosity. Yeah, so
Exactly. The
is.
delusion, the boomer delusion of grandeur. You know, it's just like choke on it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he really does sound like he'd be my mom's next victim.
Oh, they'd be perfect for each other.
They'd be scheming
Hypersexual. They'd
lawsuits
be
and yep.
old people sex right in public. Like they'd have a ball. It'd be great for them. Not for everyone else. Everyone else would be
No.
traumatized.
And my mother also was like, I'm sure you experienced this. She always had pets, right? When we were kids, she always had these dogs.
Hmm.
She loved those freaking dogs
Yeah.
more than she ever loved any of us. She would go on and on about these stupid dogs. How
Yorkies.
no, she had a Great Dane, this big,
Ooh.
massive creature, because
Wow.
of course
Okay.
she wanted to be able to intimidate people
Right.
or have it attack people she didn't like. But she also had the little frou frou dogs as well.
Hmm.
And she would just dote on them, kiss them on the mouth, and let them pee all over her house.
Oh,
Just disgusting. Like, she's having this big beast sleep in the bed with her, and it's just nasty. But that was, she she loved her pets more than her own children, and
yep.
she would make that very clear.
That was always that's
The
another constant theme on my chat. Pets, especially dogs. Now more so pit bulls, but pets especially, small dogs, big dogs. The borderline loves to project power through dangerous dogs because then it becomes about the lecture and it's they, one of the things that Judge Judy does is read these stories of children getting mauled. And I really wish she would stop doing it because if it wasn't for those stories, these people wouldn't want the dogs in the first place. It's because of those stories that they even want the dogs.
Either like, oh yeah,
Yeah, no, that's why they want the dog. They want you to be afraid. They want to give you the it's all how you raise them. It's not the breed. It's the own. No, it's you, stupid. It's both. It's both. The reason you want the breed in the first place is because you're a sociopath trying to project power that you don't have. So, you know,
yes, yeah,
dogs, pets, and they will always give the love to that dog, to
yep.
that pet that they will not give to you. Does
Oh
she
yeah.
take like her little dogs with her everywhere, like to the store and
No, she doesn't
no?
do
Okay,
that, but
good.
she prances around with them occasionally, of course, and takes stupid little pictures of them, constantly posts that online. She ended up losing her Facebook because she was working at a law firm, and of course, like I said, every place she goes to, she cannot get along with any of the women. So, and paralegals are mostly women, other
Women.
women. So she had made a file, and this is how dumb she is, right? Because she's gotten dumber as she's progressed further into her alcoholism, and as she's aged more, she's not as tech savvy as like she used to be when she was like in her 30s and 40s. So
Right.
she was logging into her Facebook page on the work computer at work, and she had made a folder. The folder was called like disloyal bitches or something to that effect.
The
And
60-year-old woman, right? She's in her
yes,
60s doing this shit.
yes. And in this folder, she was documenting her supposed like workplace confrontations or issues she was having in the workplace, she was starting to build a file because in her mind, I'm not saying this was actually going to happen or be successful, but she was building like a workplace discrimination case against the law firm where she was talking about how the younger girls were being ageist against her, and like they would tell her she wasn't doing things right, and she'd be like, of course I was, like those, they're just out to get me. And but she put this on a work computer, and so anyone that knows anything about how things are run now, all of these big law firms are monitoring your work computer, right?
Yeah.
So they're seeing her Facebook, and then they're seeing this folder that she has where she is like amassing this fake evidence that she's going to try to use against the firm to sue the firm. She went on her Facebook, she made a post about the law firm, talked about how she was being discriminated against, and the firm got her Facebook taken down.
They just got it taken down. They
They
didn't
got it
like fire
taken
her.
down. Oh no, she got fired
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
But she was so mad about that. She started using my dead grandmother's Facebook accounts to rage at people online. And it was so upsetting for my grandma's sister, like her aunt, to see my grandmother's account posting again on Facebook. And of course,
Right.
my mother publicly attacked grandma's sister because like she made a comment to my mother like, you know, you should not be using this account, this is like horrible. um they were shocked, right? Because she's saying the most vulgar stuff imaginable. Um,
Like,
and of
yeah.
course, my mother publicly attacks her and accuses her of having an affair with somebody, and she calls her all these vile names. She comes up with the like nastiest, weirdest sexual insults for people. Um, it's
Yeah.
so bizarre.
That was,
And so she's like, I am being discriminated against. My account was taken down by
oh my.
malicious, you know, malicious lawyers, and she's
Sluts
perpetual
have rights.
victim.
Sluts have rights too.
She's always the
If she's,
victim.
but she's
And
a
like, how
paralegal.
dare you, you know, how dare you say something to me, and you better shut your, like, this is like the insanity of her.
Right. But here's what's even scarier because she's a paralegal. How does she not know that they have access to what she's doing on the computer? Like, even at Macy's and IKEA, anything you did on the computer, because, I was
They're
scared,
logging.
they're logging. I could
Yes.
see it. I know like, I could see it. I can go look and see exactly what you're looking. I mean, but these boomers, they didn't get it. Like, I'll give you another quick one. And this has nothing to do with my parents, but this is at Macy's. I do this, I do this scan, and I see like there's one of the VPs, one of the engineering VPs is on these porn webs. I'm like, what is he watching porn? So go up to my VP. I'm like, what do you want to do? What are we doing here? Calls up legal, put his camera in his office. I'm like, legal, like we got normally you're not allowed to put a camera in an office, but we have them sign disclosures that, we use pinholes for like, it's all in the employment. So time to go interview this guy. Okay. Because we could see what he's doing, and we could see what he's doing in his office at this point, real quick. We can see what he's putting on a full show for himself.
Oh no.
So we pick him up. It's me and the director of special investigations who handles internals. So we pick him up, and I'm like, and we need to talk to you about, your internet usage and what's going on. And right, first thing out of his mouth, he's like, what do you think I'm doing? Jerking off in my office all day?
They tell on themselves like that
Move,
though.
we move. There's the monitor. Hit play. He sees the camera. He sees just 1 second of where the camera is. I quit. I resign. Walked out. That was it.
Oh my
Threw his
god.
ID, picked up whatever was on his desk. I resigned. Walked out. Like, okay. Well, I said, well, actually, but this is the boomer brain rot. They don't realize, see, technology is the biggest enemy to these boomers like your mother and my father. Because if it wasn't for technology, I never would have had phone call from a narcissistic mother. I never would have been able to record the conversation with the loan modification. There would have been no YouTube. There would have been no exposing this. So ultimately, technology is what's been exposing them, is what's been giving them, because otherwise they would have had us completely defeated. There
Yeah,
would have been no vernacular for this. There would have been no narcissism community whatsoever.
yeah.
So it's the technology that has ending up being their undoing. Like your mother, she don't
Yep.
understand how computers work.
Right. Or, not thinking that people have these ring devices, going and vandalizing the neighbor's yard, thinking she can get away with that, like maybe
Right.
you could have in the 90s. It's not the 90s anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
You
not
can't.
everything's recorded. Everybody has a camera. Everybody's carrying
Yes.
a computer around, a very powerful computer around in their hand. Nothing is private anymore.
And
It's
yeah,
just the
and
new
not
way of
only
the
that,
world.
but social media now has progressed to the point where when she's calling people and leaving these threatening messages, all someone has to do is post that online and say who it is, and then
Hmm.
they're exposing themselves.
Right.
So yeah, it's insane. But yeah, that's and this is why she still isn't working right now, and of course my sister is always having to help her. My sister has just accepted the fact that very soon my mother's going to have to move in with her, and she's like, she's not living in the house with me, I'll put her in a camper out back, because I've told her, like, good luck. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to open myself up to that abuse, because it is just nonstop
Right.
verbal abuse. And if that doesn't work, she'll move on to physically lashing out at you to try to get you to respond to her. It is literally like a 2-year-old child. You know how a 2-year-old baby, like you're home, maybe you have a friend over, and here comes the baby, and the baby wants attention, and it starts dancing and being cute, and
Hmm.
everybody stops talking and says, oh, look at the baby.
And she's
that's
mad.
that is what no That's what the narcissist is. They're that
Oh, okay. I
baby.
see.
They
Right.
want that everybody in the room to stop and look at them
Oh,
and
yeah,
give
yeah,
them the
yeah.
attention. Oh, look at the baby, how cute, and
Oh,
like praise them, validate them, all eyes on
yeah,
them. And then the baby, once everybody starts talking again, resumes talking, the baby starts dancing again, trying to be cute, doesn't get the same response this time because everybody's already seen it. And, then it starts crying, lashing out, might throw a toy. That is literally the even if it's negative attention, it's still something. And so she will it switch tactics. She'll go from being nice to being angry, whatever it is that's going to get any kind of response from you, and then they cannot handle any feedback at all,
hmm,
not just criticism, but any feedback at all.
anything,
They have a
anything,
freaking meltdown.
anything.
She constantly has panic attacks where she gets herself so worked up about driving in a car or doing like normal things, or, oh, I'm gonna have a heart attack, so dramatic.
Yeah, the histrionics is what
Yes.
motivates the borderline, and the borderline is going to make any event, whether it be a holiday, a birthday, a graduation, it doesn't matter. If they are not the center of attention, they're going to make themselves the center of attention. And if they got to have a full on histrionic meltdown in order to do it, they're going to do it, because even negative attention is still attention. As long as they're ruining your event and your holiday or your birthday, that's all they care about. The thing that your brother and your sister must learn, and this is what I tell my subscribers when it comes about death of the narcissist, when they're getting old and they're getting sick. Death does not absolve the narcissist. Every living organism on this planet dies. Everything is going to die. Every
Yep.
every living organism, every mammal and procreate, have a child, gestate it, have it, and give birth. That doesn't make you a mother. Your behavior is what makes you a mother. If you have lived an entire toxic and abusive, shitty life, and you have made no effort to even acknowledge it or to make amends, You made your bed. Now you die in it. Death does not absolve a lifetime of shitty behavior. And that's the real thing that you got to hammer into your sister's head and your brother's head. What has she done to earn an act of kindness other than doing what every organism on this planet does? Has sex and then pops out an offspring. Now, what you do with that offspring after is what differentiates humans from animals. And most animals treat their offspring a lot better than a borderline mother will ever. So they made their bed. Let her die in it.
Yeah, and
Ain't their problem.
I of course am the bad kid because I'm the one that went no contact and I don't put up with any of her nonsense. So to my brother, to my sister, I am like the, oh, can you believe your sister? She's so selfish. Like literally, no, I just don't. I'm not going to subject myself to constant abuse. And I've gotten to the point where, I no longer feel bad about it. I
Right.
used to. I don't anymore because I know every single time, and I'm sure you experienced this too when you were younger, that they'll come around and they'll pretend like things are going to be different, or that
The
they
Hoover. That's called
the Hoover.
Hoovering.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
the
come
Hoover.
back, they'll love bomb you a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, things are going to be different now. I was just going through a hard time. I was going through my divorce. I was having the midlife crisis. There's always an excuse for their behavior, and always they're the victim, anyways. And so you're supposed to feel bad for them and like believe them. And every time I did that, every time I tried to reestablish the relationship, immediately they don't respect boundaries. They're calling when they're not supposed to. They're
Yep.
making insane
Yep.
threats. They're making demands. The entitlement comes out. Oh, you need to do this for me. You're entitled to sit here and listen to a 2-hour conversation of them just
Mm-hmm.
whining about whatever it is that day that they're the victim of. And
Yep.
as soon as you try to tell them, hey, the common denominator here is you are the reason that this is happening because you destroy every relationship you've ever had. You've ran off every person who's come into your life because you are a nasty person, because you're not grateful, because you're arrogant, because you think that you're better than everybody else, that you're clever and that you're smart. You try to get one over on somebody, you try to rip people off, you're constantly scheming, and normal people aren't like this. There's no accountability, there's no self-reflection, so they get angry and then they lash out again. But
Yep.
like really, they expect you to sit there and listen to them bitching for 2 hours about how everybody is victimized, and then when you know this to not be true, and I just like, at a certain point you're like, why am I subjecting myself to this? Like, I don't
Because they
have
use
to.
you. They
Yes.
use you as their emotional douchebag. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. They're just to drop all. You're just supposed to be this emotional douchebag, this receptacle for all their problems. Don't bring her any of your problems.
Oh yeah,
Don't
they'll
go to her
never
with any.
ask once,
No,
how are
no,
you doing?
yeah.
How
Don't
is
bring
my
her
grandchild?
any. Yeah,
No.
don't bring her any of your problems. And here's the thing: you have to be really concerned with the hoovering. Whichever one, whether it be your sister or your brother, your mother ends up living with, is going to be the one that comes at you to hoover you because you're the main target. And what happens is when the black sheep goes no contact, and you leave those golden child or whatever you want to call them siblings behind who are still dealing with that sociopath, it's only a matter of time before they say to them, because that narcissist got to get their supply from somewhere. So everything they were doing to you, they're now going to do to them double. So it's not going to take very long for them to figure out, I got to get the target off me and back to where she really wants it, on Christina. And that's the hoovering. And if it happens, you have to be prepared to whichever one they move in with, you're probably going to end up going no contact with too, because they are gonna come in with the gaslighting and the hoovering and the love bombing themselves, because they're going to want to get that target off their back, and they're going to be want to give her favorite victim, which is you.
Well, I think my sister, she pretty much knows, she knows my mom's a narcissist. I mean, she could
Mm-hmm.
probably articulate it better than me. She just deals with her because it's, the Christian thing of like you feel like you
She's
have
weak.
to,
It's not Chris. That's an excuse. Whenever those are the ones you really got to be concerned with, because those are the ones that'll crush you when they turn on you. The ones who are like, yeah, I know she's a narcissist. You're right. She'll say that to you until something goes bad with her and your mother. Then it'll be like, oh, you can't just let anything go. And what you can't you forgive and forget? You're gonna, I promise you, this is what's gonna happen until she doesn't get her way. It, I've seen this so many times. And your mother's not special. She's not
No.
special. And your brother and sister aren't any different from any other type of story I deal with. I can promise you, they're figuring out, how do I get this target back on Christina? How? Because I got to get it off of me. I can't deal with this. And believe me, especially your sister, I don't know so much about, they resent you for your strength. They resent that you have the strength to cut this woman out of your life completely and not deal with her. They do, because they're afraid. And she could say it's the Christian thing to do or it's the right thing to do. That's not what Christianity says. That's not what the Bible says. The Bible says you don't have to take abuse from a parent. It says quite the opposite. So, I mean, that's just nonsense. So, really, I mean, you just have to be prepared for, I'm not saying cut
Yeah.
your sister out now
No,
or anything, but
no.
you got to be prepared for
For her to,
nobody's going to want to wear that target exclusively. Nobody.
yeah, that is true. And I know my mom, like, my mother constantly comes up with this nonsense, and my sister has to tell her repeatedly, like, you have destroyed your life. You are the reason everything is happening to you. Like, my sister will send me screenshots of, like, the text thread of these conversations where, she'll try to tell her the truth, and then my mother has a meltdown, lashes out, you're ungrateful, blah, 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 blah. You don't know what you're talking about. And then come the insults, you're a loser. You don't have a degree. My mother loves to say this crap. She brings up the fact that she has a master's degree repeatedly. That's her go to thing. And it's like, okay, but what, you've done nothing with it. Like, you can't even keep a job. I have a master's degree. Blah, 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 blah. That's her thing, is the credentialism of,
Mm-hmm.
I have a degree. And so therefore I'm better than you. I'm smarter than you. And it's just ridiculous. But
The
my
idea
sister
she
will
would
try
say
to
that,
tell her,
but the
like,
idea she would even say that to her own daughter in the first place, should tell your sister, like, this woman is garbage. Who
is
speaks like?
insane.
Would you ever say that to your daughter? Would you ever say anything like
No, no,
that?
no,
Like,
no. Oh, and then if she's not making headway with my sister, she will message my niece, my sister's daughter, and try to go to her to get her, and my niece just ignores her because she knows she's an alcoholic
right.
narcissist. But, I feel bad, honestly, for my sister, because she really does feel like, that my mother has permanently fried her brain with the alcohol. Like, she's basically got wet brain. She's become incredibly delusional, as she always was, but I mean, even worse than how she used to be. And
Right.
so my sister feels like she's basically mentally ill, and she is on disability now for mental illness. It's bipolar, I believe, is what they're calling it, but
Then
I
how's she
think
going to
it's
get a job if
more
she's on
than one.
disability?
Oh, she believes that she is going to get a job as a mediator somehow, and she's going to, these people are going to be she's going to make millions of dollars because she has a master's degree. It's outrageous. And my sister took one of these pictures of, like, an elderly person, and she made a meme of it, like, "Hey, I'm your mediator." She's like, "This is going to be you by the time you become a mediator. You're going to be like 80, and nobody's going to be interested in hiring you." And my mother was like, F you,
It'll
it
be like
just
Diane
thinks,
Feinstein being wheeled around like the crypt
right.
keeper. Like
And
that'll be it, right?
but there's no, my sister just thinks she is, delusionally wet brained at this point, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody is going to have to take care of her. And we know nobody else is going to do it, because my mother will literally terrorize anybody that comes into her life. And so no caretaker, no nurse, nobody is going to want to deal with her because she's so nasty. and malicious at times. Like she will straight up terrorize people. She will, you know, so my
Oh
sister
yeah.
feels like she's kind of come up with a system for dealing with her, which is to just tell her the truth, let her, spurg out, have her little meltdown and the histrionic display. Then we ignore her for a little bit, and then my sister will finally have you calm down. And as she starts up again, my sister blocks her. She'll wait a little bit, then unblock her. Are you ready to be normal? And then she'll act like my mother will just act like nothing happened and just pretend like, oh, hi.
Exhausting.
It's like,
It's
who could
exhausting.
deal with stuff like that?
Yeah, it's
And
exhausting.
like I honestly, like I bless her heart. I think my sister means well, but I don't think she really knows what she's, going to get into when my mother, and it's not an if, it's a when, because she's already about to get kicked out of the place she is living at now, because she went a long time without paying rent. She tried suing this place. She's not even supposed to be living there. She had some simp put it in his name. Like she
How did she get away with it in Florida? Florida, like they can have you out in 3 weeks if you don't pay your rent in Florida. It's
because
fast.
she's insane. She has an army of simps. It's not as many as it used to be, but she has several simps that she has bail her out, put things in their name, pay for
Wow.
things at times, and enable her nonsense. She's got one that doesn't even live in her state, that lives like several states away. And this is some guy she went to school with when she was young, that probably has no idea. Like, he was in love with her when he was a kid. He has
They
no
always go
idea
back to
who
the high
she is.
school. Like so many of them go back
Yes.
to the high school well, like in their
Oh my
60s.
God.
Like,
Yes. And so this is like how she has survived up until this point, but she's getting to the point now where even I think that person is like sick of her nonsense, although I think she was planning a trip to go visit him. Um it's and this is her life. It's
she
very
getting
sad.
wait, your mother's getting flued out at 68? Like
Yeah.
seriously? She getting flued out at 68? Like this is what I'm talking about with this generation. It's pathetic.
It's
It's
weird.
pathetic. I
Like,
got
can
flued
you just
out.
be normal? Like, could you be like a normal grandparent or something? Like,
No, no, they can't.
and I
They
have to
can't.
say, my in laws are normal. They're the
Hmm.
rare, totally
Yeah.
normal. Like, they act their age. They're not weird. They are involved in my daughter's life. They're super supportive. And they've dealt with my mother too, and her threats, her
And
nonsense, the calls, the
obviously your
messages.
husband's norm. Obviously your
Yeah.
husband's normal. So
Oh yeah,
that helps
she
greatly.
my mother hates him because he never was bought into any of her charm, which of
Right.
course she does to every single person in your life, because she doesn't want them to believe any of the things she knows you're going to tell them about her. So she,
Mhm.
puts on this fake front for everybody. He always knew she was insane, and so she never liked him. And that's the another reason that we don't talk, is because every time I she gets on the phone, she wants to trash him, and it's just like, look at yourself for a minute. Why are you focused on anybody else?
Right.
You have your own problems to deal with,
Right.
but that's everything she's trying to avoid, and that's why she will nitpick what everybody else is doing, and
Yeah.
trash everybody else, because then she doesn't have to look at her life, which is that she is a woman in her 60s who has ran away every good person she's ever met. And she did have a lot of, I remember when I was younger, she had a lot of nice guys who came around that she'd date, and she didn't like them. They weren't good
Bored.
enough
Yeah, she
for
gets
her.
bored.
Or
Yeah, she
she's
gets bored
bored
by him.
and
Yeah.
she needs the constant
The bad
drama,
boy.
excitement.
The high school girl
Right.
wants the bad boy. They
And
always
or they didn't have high enough status for her, because in her mind she should be with a lawyer or a doctor or a billionaire. And if it was a millionaire, well, that he doesn't have enough money for me. I need the next, nothing. She will never be satisfied with anything or anyone. And this, that's how she's gotten to where she is now. It's a sad cautionary tale. I feel bad for her in a way, but I also don't, because any bad thing that might have happened to her when she was younger that maybe made her the way she is not an excuse to continue that behavior and to do that for your entire life, to be nasty to your own children. to say the things that she said to us when I was younger. She would terrorize people. Like
Yep.
when I was 12, I have a blood disorder. She has it too. She claimed that she had me tested when I was a baby and they said I didn't have it. So I started getting really sick. And I'd come home from school and I would like literally lay down on the couch and fall asleep. What do you think she would do? Come in to check on me? Hey, are you feeling okay? Are you sick? Oh no, she'd come in with a glass of ice water and throw the water in my face, call me lazy and fat, and then tell me nobody was ever going to love me or want to be with me, and that I was like a pig. And that was her favorite, you pig, one of her favorite insults. And I got so sick that my basketball coach, I was trying to keep up with people that were, we were training and doing these suicide missions where you run from one end of the court to the halfway, then
Right.
back, and then all the way. And I could not even get halfway across
Right.
without getting sick. So I went and I'm like sitting trying to catch my breath on the fence. And my coach came to look at me and my eyes were yellow. And she's like, you need to go to the emergency room. Something's wrong. My own
Right.
mother couldn't figure that out, didn't pay enough attention to me. So they took me, to the hospital. Come to find out, my spleen is the size of a football and could rupture, and they have to rush me into emergency surgery to get it removed. What is my mother doing the whole time? She's giggling and laughing and telling me they're going to give me an enema, which of course they had to do to prep me for surgery.
Hmm.
And I was just crying and she's cackling in my face. That was my mother. Like I'm about to go
Yeah,
into
I see it.
surgery and you think that you're going to,
I know.
that's your response is to cackle and taunt me and insult me instead of being like a normal parent. And then after the surgery, I'm in the hospital trying to recover. She's not there. She'll show up occasionally to bring me Wendy's, and she would go. This was back during the VHS days of like Blockbuster. She brought a bunch of movies. She picked all comedies, and then the movies were to babysit me because she wouldn't even stay in the hospital with me. She put these movies on and left, and because they were funny, I kept laughing. Every time I'd laugh, I'd rip a stitch. And
Hmm.
that was,
Oh,
that's just like one story of like the thing, like literally terrorizing a child,
I know.
your own child who's
I know.
going into surgery or just had surgery. And that's the behavior. And to me, I would, as a parent now, like I could never imagine treating my daughter that way or even behaving that way. It's psychotic, but that was that was what she did. That's
I'll
just
tell
who
you.
she is.
I'll tell you what my father did to my brother. You like this? So I had a kidney stone back in 2004 and had to go to the hospital, have a procedure, have the thing removed. About a week later, my brother comes to my house. He's like, I keep dropping, tells me he keeps dropping to the floor like it's like somebody kicked me in the balls. Like I don't know what's going on. So I'm like, well, go see my urologist. He's pretty good. So he goes, turns out he has what's called a strangulated testicle, whereas his twisted
Ooh.
around each other. Oh yeah. And it'll just drop you. He said he brought in the other dog, like, yeah, we gotta operate and untangle these. So my brother, fast forward, they're about to wheel him into the OR. Okay. Um, the urologist comes in. My mother and father are with him. I wasn't there. My mother and father are with him. Your urologist comes in. They're about to wheel my brother in to explain to him what's going to go on. The urologist apparently gets like 3 words out. And my father jumps in and is like, I have this pain here. And it keeps and like
What?
he starts trying to talk to him about his. So I go back to the urologist because I have a stent in from my procedure. They put the stent in me. That's why, because I was already had the surgery. I had my surgery. They didn't show up for that. I had my surgery where they put the stent in and took and took the stone out. Okay, so I'm going back into his office to have the stent removed that went from my urethra to my bladder. And it keeps sticking you, and they pull it out. Like there's no operate. They pull this tube out. Okay. So the doctor's like, I gotta ask you, he goes, I gotta ask you something. He goes, Mike's your brother, right? I'm like, yeah, yeah, you know that. And he goes, can I ask you something off the record? I'm like, yeah, sure. He goes, what's the deal with your father? And then he tells me the story because I hadn't heard this. I hadn't heard, my brother hadn't told me this. What's the
Oh
deal
my
with your
God.
father? And I'm like, yeah, that's him. Yeah, I'm like, I'm like, that's what raised us. He's like, the doctor goes, we're about to wheel this kid into surgery. And I'm explaining to him, because we're about to cut open a pretty important part of a man here, you know, and your father made it all about himself. And we're wheeling him in, and he's following us to the OR with his like, what are you doing? And so I call my brother. I'm like, yo, what happened when they were gonna wheel you into the OR? He's like, oh, dude. He goes, you daddy. He goes, Brian, make it all about him freaking self.
Of
And
course.
he was pissed. He was pissed. He was pissed. So he wanted to go and confront them about this. Okay. Once he recovered and all that. So we're over there. So we go over to his house, over to their house. And my brother says to him, he goes, I got to talk to you about what you pulled it was where they were rolling me in the OR. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, they're about to explain to me the entire procedure. And you jump in and start talking to them about your own bullshit. He's like, what are you doing? My father stands up and looks at him. He goes, you should have fucking died on that slab.
God.
What? And walked out. What?
What psycho.
What? Now my brother still deals with them. I don't deal with my brother
Oh my
anymore because
God.
because he's just he's a little jerk too. But I had said to him, I'm like he was defending my father on something, and I just said to him, hey Mike, you should have died on that slab. And he like stopped and he goes, how do you remember that? How the hell do you forget it?
Exactly.
How do you forget something like
Because the
that?
abuse has been so normalized and you are so used to it that I don't know,
No,
people
he wants
just,
the money. He wants the money.
ah,
He wants
okay.
the money. My parents are loaded. They're loaded. They're loaded. They
So
got
he's
three houses in New Jersey. Like they're
willing to be
loaded.
demeaned,
Yeah.
and
I walked
abused.
away
Oh
from
my
all of that.
God.
You have it. You keep it. I don't want their money. They weren't going to give it to me anyway. They would
Of
have
course,
found some
they're
excuse
gonna find
why I
some
didn't deserve it.
random
You're never
person
getting the
to give it.
will. Yeah.
Exactly. It will go
Yeah.
to a stranger before it goes to
If you're, and
you.
I tell this is the other thing I tell my subscribers, if you're trying to hang in with that narcissist thinking because there's a will, you are not getting a dime of that because
Nope.
that is their final fu. That is them controlling you from beyond the grave,
Oh
cut
yeah.
you out of that
Yeah.
will, and they will do it. I
Yep.
can't tell you how many people have come back to me like, oh my God, you were right. Oh my God, you were right. I found the will. They cut me. It's what they do. It's their move. So, and again, they're all the same. They all run in the same playbook. Once you know the playbook, you can defend yourself against it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sad.
which is why I think it is important that people talk about these things, because it feels weird to talk about. Nobody wants to say, hey, you want to hear how horrible my
Yeah.
childhood was?
I
Or
want to hear something
because
really effed up.
it's
Like,
embarrassing. I mean, nobody wants to talk about their parent basically being a prostitute, or, and
mm-hmm.
bringing their kids along, or any of this stuff. Like, it is embarrassing, so people don't talk about it. Also, the narcissist will tell them stories about how everybody else has it so much harder than you, and there are children starving, and you
Yeah.
didn't have it that bad. They gaslight you into actually thinking that you didn't have it that, or you don't have a right to speak up because there are other people that were molested as a kid and that didn't happen to you. It's like, yeah, that's the only thing that didn't happen to me,
See
or
that?
whatever. And like,
Yeah.
but that is the mindset I think that so many people have, where they don't even, because it may not be outright physical abuse or
Mm-hmm.
sexual abuse, that they question themselves of, was I abused? And it's like, yeah, you were. It just took a different form than other people's abuse. That doesn't make it any less toxic and abusive.
Hmm.
But people are reluctant to talk about it. And I think it is only recently, with the rise of platforms like this and, YouTube and other people sharing their stories, that people have started to feel comfortable enough talking about it because they feel like, oh, I shouldn't be complaining. Other people had it harder than me.
Hmm. That that was one of my mother's favorite go-tos, but I never bought it. Like again, I hated my mother since I was 4 years old. So that never had any effect on me. And but that she didn't stop her from doing it. Oh, so and so's mother does this, and so's mother makes them do that, and so's mother. And I'm like, and I would say this to her, even at like 8, 9, 10 years old. You're only saying this to me because you know you're a shitty mother. You know you're a shitty mother. And she would admit it. She's like, I know I'm a bad mother. I know I'm a bad mother. I know I
But
call you names. I know I'm abusive. Okay. But what my mother did to me, I'm like, I don't care. You know it's wrong. And
yes,
the other
but
thing,
there's the excuse. But it's nothing compared to what my mother did to me. You have it easy compared to what I had growing up. It's just like excuse after
my
excuse.
my favorite boomer excuse, my favorite is we didn't know what we were doing. There wasn't a book. You needed a book to tell you not to walk around naked in front of your children? You needed a book to tell you not to put naked pictures of yourself on the refrigerator? You needed to be a book to not call your son every friggin' name and you needed it. What chapter? What chapter did it need to be in for you? Explain to me what book would have laid all this out for you, please. It is the most ridiculous excuse. When you hear it, you just got to throw it back in. What did you need explained to you in a book? Not to be a sexual deviant, not to be a drug addict. You need to. Oh, honey, we're not supposed to be doing blow in front of our kid. Like, if there was only
Right.
written in a book, if there was only a book, right?
Yeah, right. The book. Yeah, that's one of their favorite things to say. We didn't know. Okay, sure thing. That's why, I've never really read a parenting book, but I can
Mm-hmm.
figure out how to be a normal parent.
Right. I didn't read a parent, but I knew not to do that to my child. When I said, and I would ask my mother, I'm like, let me ask you, when your mother would treat you like that, did you know it was wrong? Yeah. And
Yeah.
yet you do it to me. Hmm. That
Right.
would be a,
Right.
nah. It was, she was such a weird bird. She was such a strange bird. She did it. She did. I'll give her credit for one thing. She did apologize for the Little League field because the last time I spoke to her, like she was going on something, and I finally had to just. I'm like, what do you think it was like at 14 years old to have the entire school know that you got caught having sex on the pitcher's mound of the Little League field? You didn't think like I didn't have enough problems at 14 that you think I needed that? And they got caught with a couple of their swinger friends too. And the people they got caught with also had kids in the school, but they were juniors and seniors and they were like captains of the football team.
Mm.
Nobody was making fun of, and that's what I said. Nobody was making fun of them because they had each other. No, it was only me. Okay. And you spaced me and Michael out far enough. So it was 6 years. By the time I had graduated and he made it to high school, everybody who knew about it was gone. So thanks. And she goes, it was all your father. It was all him. I don't care. You got naked pictures of yourself all over the house, and naked giant oil painting over your freaking bed. I hear you banging in there every night because you make me shit. I kept moving my bed off the wall because our rooms were next to each other, and their bed would just bang off the wall for all of 30 seconds because my father used to call him two pump chump, you know. Ugh, sorry. Sorry about your sweater. Oh my God. And this is what you got to listen to. And I would move my bed to the other side of the room. And I come home from school and the bed's right back on the other wall again. Every time. Because
That's so
she liked
weird.
it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of
Ugh.
why she would do that. That's
Hyper.
so
When I say
creepy.
hypersexual, and I know your mother's hypersexual, I'm talking at all times, hyper. Even when she's in full on borderline drunken rage mode, it's still sexual because she's sticking her in like her
Yep.
and touching and rubbing and just my therapist told me and my brother together the fact that me and him are not in some alleyway with needles hanging out of
Yep.
our arms is a miracle
Yeah.
because our therapist was her therapist, started as her
Oh
therapist.
no.
Exactly.
So
This is
then
how I
they
got my
know.
validation because this started as my mother's therapist and turned into marriage counseling. Then they drug me in because we were having issues. So that's how I got past all the HIPAA. Then I became her client, and she saw this entire meltdown go on, this whole thing go from stem to stern. And that's why my father ended up sending her a letter because he knew the therapist had the goods on them. He knew what they
Oh
were.
yeah.
She's the one who diagnosed them.
Yep.
So, like, to watch, because my therapist was fascinated. She's like, I've never seen anything like this. I've never because you only get bits and pieces. She never started with one client, had it turn into marriage counseling, and then have it turn into go the
Right.
direction it went. So that's where I know I got true validation from a therapist because she went through it with us. She went through it with me. She saw it from my mother. She saw the lies she was telling when she was alone. She saw the lies my parents told together. And then she saw it all get exposed once me and my brother were brought into it. And there was nothing my parents could do to stop it because they brought us into the therapy. So there was no
Right.
HIPAA, there was no HIPAA violations or anything. There was nothing my father. So when my father
Oh
wrote
my
that
God.
ridiculous letter, and I thought, here was the one sad thing. When Maureen, that was my therapist, she's like, I got to read you something and she reading me this letter. And you know what I said when she got done reading it? I'm like, so you can't see me anymore. She's like, why would you think that? She's like, why would you think that? She's like, no. She's like, I have never been so aggravated and so angry in my life, like in my professional career. I have never seen anything like this. And she was the one who suggested, like, she's the one who put it in my mind. You got to go. You got to get out of here because these people
Are
are just
insane.
dangerous. She called them. She's like, they're dangerous. They're dangerous
Yeah.
people. They're going to destroy you.
A
You
high
know?
functioning narcissist absolutely can be. Yeah, and I've been told the same thing too by people who, have knew my mother, like, oh, it's a miracle that you turned out the way you did, or, that you and your sister,
You're very
like,
lucky. You are. You're very
yeah.
lucky, especially growing up in Florida. You know how easy it is to fall down the hole down
Oh
here.
yeah, definitely. And then being kicked out of the house as a teenager, dropping out of school, I
Yeah.
easily could have ended up like an Epstein victim or something. My goodness.
Yeah. You're
I got so lucky. God put people in my life at the right time, and I just, had the ability to be resilient, which
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Congratulations. I mean, honestly,
Um,
it is, you're lucky. You really are.
but
It's a testament to your own strength, really.
trying to talk to like normies about this, people do
They
not
don't get
believe
it.
you because it sounds so
I know.
outrageous. Some of these stories, and I haven't even gotten into the crazier ones because they're so embarrassing. They just sound insane, and people
Yep.
don't believe it if they haven't experienced it. If they didn't grow up that way, it's very hard to like wrap
When
your
you're
mind
loved,
around like that
because
that's
they were
real.
loved. When you're actually loved and you realize, well, listen, families do have problems, things that, okay. But when you're raised with zero love and nothing but toxicity, they can't make that connection because they know they were loved ultimately. Maybe somebody's having a bad day, people have fights until they see it for themselves. See,
Exactly. Until
once
people are
once somebody
seeing the raging.
met my mother, it was all clear. It was all overly clear because
Yep.
it's worse. It's always everybody who meets my mother is like, oh my God, it's worse. And I'm like, and I say to him, like I said to my wife, how would you explain this to somebody? Now
Right.
explain my mother to some. You can't. You just got to experience it. There's no way to put it into words. You just had to experience it. It's just, ooh, she should have been studied. I mean, she should have been in an institution and studied. And I think that the therapist was fascinated by them, fascinated by both of them. Just their hubris was just off the charts.
I feel like
Off
it
the,
would be worse having the two of them, right? Because then they feed off each other, they play off each other's, they gas each other up,
mm-hmm,
and that would make it worse than like my mother, at least, she would cycle through different marks that she would, use and then discard, but she didn't have one person like backing up her nonsense or gassing her up or, encouraging the insane things that she would do, helping her craft her psychotic threats to people, threatening letters, all the things that she would do. I have to imagine having both of them made it harder. And then when they're trying to gaslight you, it's two people instead of one. And then you and think even more that there's something wrong with you because
mm-hmm.
two people are telling you that you're crazy.
We used to have what I call tribal council from where you were brought into the den, to the family room, and you just had to stand there while my father laid on the couch, my mother sat on the chair, and then you were put on trial. And you're put on trial for life. Okay. And the trial was nothing more than a constant cross-examination and being told what guard from both of them, from both of these lunatic sociopaths. Okay. And you're on trial for life with these people. And the trial never ends. And you're already guilty. You're already guilty going in. So what's the point of the trial? The process is the punishment. That's the point.
Yeah.
Just to just to punish you. Just so they make sure that you don't have one shred of self-confidence or self-esteem. So you are emotionally dependent on them for life.
Oh yeah, and then the attempts to, while you're young, sabotage you, make it as hard as possible. That's why I think she was stole my identity when she kicked me out. Is and because I think she wanted me to try to come crawling back to her. They want you to be dependent on them, and they
Mm-hmm.
want to be the person in control. And that didn't work on me. I was able to do my own thing. I didn't come crawling back to her, but I think she thought that was going to happen. They in then constantly saying demeaning things. She used to tell me I was a monster as a child, when I was a child, to make me think that there was something wrong with me, just to cripple you and make you distrustful of everybody around you, but also distrustful of yourself, that there's something wrong with me that I can't even pick up on. And, your parent is telling you this, because they want you to be dependent on them. They want you to need them because then they can feel important and special and they can be in control.
To this day, my father is convinced, or he's convinced himself and tells everybody it's only a matter of time. Any day now, I'm going to come crawling back to New Jersey and be begging for forgive. Any day now,
They
any day.
tell
He's
themselves
in a
this
mental
shit.
institution. He's in prison. The IRS is after him. Like,
Yeah,
guy, I've been doing this now for 12 years. Okay. I'm still here. Okay. It's wishful thinking on your end. Yeah, there were problems when I first lost my job, but I paid off my child support in full a full year early. Boy, did that piss them off. Boy, did that piss, because that was that child support, and the issues I was having at first. Once they got once things really turned around and they got basically the whole thing paid off at once, and everything. My father lost his mind. Apparently, my father lost his mind up there. I didn't even get a phone call, and I hadn't talked to my daughter at that point in 3 years. I didn't even get a phone call or an acknowledgement. Hey, thanks for taking care of nothing. Because my father was like, he must have stole that. He was just every excuse to not acknowledge. Okay. Because what the reality is, and what I've said a million times on my channel, is the reality is I did all this. I pulled myself out of this hole, okay, on your dysfunction, by talking about your dysfunction, by talking about everything you tried to do to destroy me. I've taken your whole plan of toxicity that you used to destroy and control me for life, and I've made a career out of it. And not only that, I've taken care of all my obligations a year early. My daughter, they got nothing to say. So now it's like I'm mentally ill. I'm going to prison. I mean, it's like
This
this
literally sounds
because
like the stuff my mother
I
says
still
about
have
me.
friends up there that
Yeah.
because he can't stop talking. Like he just can't stop running his mouth. And he
Of
goes and
course.
he tells these people, and he still hasn't figured out who's talking to me. Like he still hasn't figured out like the people that just they don't believe you. Okay, they've seen the videos. They've seen what mommy did. They saw you try to steal a house, forge my. They saw it all. You're not fooling any. So they're coming back to me and telling me about your boomer meltdowns or these delusions of grandeur of me being frog marched away, or maybe they're going to send me to alligator Alcatraz now. I don't know what he's cooked up in his freaking head, but they need to believe it. They need it
Yep.
because to accept the truth, I mean, they'd rather die than do that. It's
Yeah.
just
Literally. Yeah.
so.
That's my mother. She's convinced herself that I am being prevented from speaking to her against my will, even though I've told her I don't want to talk to her, or
Mm-hmm,
it's I am, I'm gonna be some domestic terrorist or something and I'm on a government watch list. Like she just convinces herself of whatever nonsense suits her, and it'll change depending on the need, right?
mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm just this victim that's being kept from her. At other times, I'm a malicious, nasty person, and I'm this dangerous thought criminal. I don't know what she's thinking.
My
And
mother,
I'm about to get arrested or something because I talk on the internet about politics.
my mother told me I'm being controlled by my wife. Okay, okay, that I am infatuated. I'm p infatuated. Because that's just all she thinks. Oh, what do you think? You think hers is special? Like, why are you thinking about my wife's
Oh my
genitalia? Like,
God.
why? I know why, because you're a sick woman, and that's how you value. That's your only value. But this is again, you're not. They won't even give you credit enough to formulate your own opinions and to
Yep.
come to your own
You're being
conclusions. You're
brainwashed.
too dumb. You're too
Or,
dumb.
yeah.
Somebody must have told you. Who told you that? Who's putting that? Nobody put it. The idea that you could formulate your own ideas in your head. No, 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 no.
Yep.
Matthew's dumb. Christina's dumb. You can't do anything on their own. There's no way they figured this out. Somebody's brainwashing them. No,
That's
no.
another one of my mother's favorite things is that anyone who, if you express that her problems and it articulated to her, oh, you've been brainwashed, somebody's gotten to you and they're
Mm-hmm,
using you and you're just an idiot. You're a useful idiot. Like that she loves saying stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
Um anything she can think of to not have to take any accountability for anything that's happened in her relationship with her own children, that's what she'll do, and she'll make things up. Or you're just a terrible person. You don't care about anybody. You're so ungrateful. She sacrificed so much. She gave up so much to raise you. Which if you can call it raising, like doing the bare minimum and being horrifying while you're doing it. Like thanks
Right.
for that. You're
Yeah.
supposed to be grateful for that. And they just this is how they are,
Mm-hmm.
and it is sad. It's sad that anybody has had to grow up like that. It really
Right.
is
But there's so many of
amazing.
us, and that's the
And
value of talking about it is that you're telling your own story. I'm telling my own story, but we're telling so many other people's stories who
yeah.
thought they were the only one or couldn't articulate it. And there wasn't a vernacular to put it into words to make other people at least have some kind of idea of what you're talking about or what
Yeah,
happened with you.
because you don't know, like you don't know these things when you're a kid and you're growing up. Nobody teaches you about any of this. There is nothing in school. You don't learn about this in school. You have to go out and seek that information out. Otherwise, you don't know, and you think that you're the problem because they've told you your entire life that you are the problem, that there's something wrong with you, that they're great, they're wonderful, and how dare you not constantly praise them and worship
Right.
them. And so it's just people have no idea unless they've experienced it, like I said. And I think, even just you and I talking, this is the first time we've ever had a conversation
Right.
before. I didn't know anything about his story. He didn't know anything about mine. But the similarities are striking, which is very telling about this pattern of behavior. And I think that's why it resonates with so many people. Because they're all the same, these narcissists. It comes down to the same motivators, the same things that animate them. They're all so much alike and yet so different in how they do things, but it's all motivated by the same, inferiority complex that is masked with the grandiose superiority
Yep.
that they like to publicly signal and display to others. Their desire to dominate people and to have control, it all comes from the same fragile sense of self that the narcissist has.
Right.
So it was really interesting, getting to talk to you and hear
Absolutely.
about your parents and
Right.
getting
And I
to
had
talk
seen, you
about
know
my
what?
mother.
I didn't even I knew who you were because I saw you on Jesse Kelly. You got debanked
Oh
by Bank
yeah,
of
yeah.
America.
Mm-hmm.
I and that was always and that more than losing the channel, the debanking is the one thing that terrified me. Because if you can't do payment process, what do you do? And it really forces you to kind of change your content
Mm-hmm.
and that sucks. So I did know who you were. I did see you on that Jesse Kelly segment, and I can't I can't thank you enough for having my back on the with the Diane
Diane.
thing. And obviously we have pretty similar politics. So
Yeah.
um I know what bogs but really annoys me that Diane's MAGA too. I know
Oh
she's
my
MAGA.
God. She
Yeah,
claims to be, but I don't
I
know
know
if I
it's
believe that or if she's just saying that. Could be,
she is.
she may have just adopted that specifically because her daughter isn't, right?
Right.
Or her daughter is maybe more liberal or something. It may be she
Yeah, her
just,
daughter had green hair. Like her daughter's
yeah,
definitely on the woke side. Seemed like I found her video. Seems like a nice girl. I'm not making any judgments on her.
yeah,
Obviously, she's
right.
been abused. I
Exactly.
mean, it's just what a disaster of a woman. What a
But
disaster of a woman. But
we both
having her on our
saw,
side sucks.
I know. We both saw her videos and immediately with the smirking, the condescension, immediately saw through it and were able to understand. And I've had people, because my video on Diane has gotten like 30,000 plus views, people still are watching it and commenting
Mm-hmm.
on it. And there's the occasional person who truly believes. And we also have to acknowledge here that Diane has bots that she uses, or she's
Oh
using
yeah.
alts, because I know for a fact she is. But there's the occasional person that's like, "Oh, this is just a sad, estranged parent. How dare you go after her?" And
Oh,
you just
not real.
we
You don't have the extension on YouTube where you can see the dislikes? Do you have that?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know that
you
I
would
do.
know because if you look at Diane's videos, you know that that first video is double dislike. She got like
Yep.
85,000 dislikes and only 40,000 likes. That's like most of her videos. Nobody's really buying her shit.
No,
The
and
thing that flipped
she's
me
not a
out with
good
her,
liar.
the thing with me that was just like, that is my mother, was when she put the camera on the floor and did the walk away so everybody could look at her fat ass. Like, mom, what's wrong with you? You're 59 years old. I mean, like, and what's
Oh
with that
yeah.
haircut? Like, you get that done with a chainsaw? Like, but she thinks she's like edgy. It's like she literally had to put the camera, like, she planned that.
Yeah, she
She
planned that
put the
and
camera
she
on the
came up
floor so
with
she could
that.
wear her
And
yoga
then
pants and walk away.
yes, that she filmed that. And not only that, but the way that she would set up like hold the camera, fake cry, you
It's
could
so
tell it
horrible.
was nonsense. And then the thing
I'm
that
getting
she
aggravated
did,
just hearing it.
the thing she did with her daughter, where she wouldn't actually read the letter that her daughter wrote to her going no contact, she did this weird segment where she put up like an outline picture of like a literal child and did a child's voice that was like, "You don't understand." She did this weird thing of
Oh,
like
I
she
didn't
wouldn't,
see that.
oh yeah, she didn't read the letter, but she had this one segment where it kind of like she read maybe what would have been two or three lines out of it, and she did it in a child's voice with a child character. And I thought, what a way to like, her daughter's probably what, in her late 20s.
Probably,
She's an
yeah.
adult. She's certainly not like a 12-year-old child, but that I felt like that was so condescending to make this sound
Yeah.
like a petulant
Yeah. It's
12-year old,
mocking. It's
the
taunting.
mocking and taunting. And then to me, the whole reason she even wanted to talk about this wasn't because she was that upset that she is estranged from her daughter. Obviously, she's mad she lost control, but it's the competition with the daughter of her daughter's a content creator, so now she has to do it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
She
Yep. Yep.
has
Yep.
to
Yep. Yep.
get
Yep.
more views, blah blah blah. Yeah,
I
it's
found
so obvious.
Diane has tried, I think this is like her fourth or fifth attempt at a YouTube channel. She tried to be like one of these lame ass travel bloggers or in a food blog. Like she's just desperate for like that internet. She's desperate for internet fame. Her and her husband's no better. I mean, her husband's another complete simp. I got to find that video and do a reaction on it. Absolutely. I only put my Diane stuff on Rumble now. It's just it's not even worth it with YouTube with that stuff,
Yeah.
just to keep it safe. Yeah, but I saw your video on her, and that was a good one too. Most of the anti Diane videos are really funny. Everybody had a pretty good perspective on it.
Yes, because so many of us, it was like so triggering to
Yeah.
see it, it. We see so much of our parents in her, and just her insanity that she would script an entire video, bringing
Hmm.
in these weird statistics and acting like this is some societal problem of these
Yep.
poor estranged parents, when it's in reality it's you are toxic and abusive and psychotic, and so your children no longer want to deal with it. That's what
Yep.
it is. There isn't this like this plague of just for no reason at all.
Right.
A child cuts off their parent because it's a very hard thing to do. And who would want to do that? Who would want to do that if the parent wasn't doing something really wrong? People
Right.
don't just decide to,
Yeah,
I'm going
let's
to
just wake up and
completely
I'm going to
cut
cut off
off
my
my
whole
parent.
family. I'm just going to, because it's something to do. But that's what they'll
Right.
act like. And
Yes.
TikTok is full of those estranged parents channels. And I love reviewing them because they're all the same. I mean, they're great for content, but it's also, it's good to show how many of these people are out there and to expose this network of sociopathic narcissists basically gassing each other up. Okay,
Yep.
because you got to go in there and you got to see what you're dealing with. Because when I started, I was one of the very first. I wasn't the first, but I was probably one of the first people doing this type of content. Spartan Life Coach, Sam Vakin, me. There was a couple others back in the day, and I said at the very beginning, it's only a matter of time before these people, these narcissists we're talking about, team up, figure out our vernacular, and then turn themselves into the
The
victims.
victim.
And I
Make
was
it about them, of
Yeah, I,
course.
I was predicting that back in 2014, 2014, 2015. Excuse me, I got it
Yep.
out.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. That was kind of nasty. But so yeah, so I mean I saw that coming, and that's what you're seeing now with these estranged parents channels. But there's a lot of people calling it out too. A lot of people calling
Yeah.
them out. So that's that's a positive for all of us as well.
Yeah,
So
it is. And I think for people to just be able to see it, to recognize who these people are, and to laugh at them, I think
mhm.
is important because they hate that. They hate
Yep.
being,
Oh, they
that,
can't be mocked. No, no,
yeah,
no.
that really
I mean, but that's
wounds
the left
them.
too. I mean, that's just like
They're
that's why I
so
made the
fragile.
connection with societal narcissism because it's the same behavior. It's like that's why they hate memes because you don't have to argue. You don't have to spend all
Yeah.
this time, with with a wall of text arguing. Meme, boom. It's fast, it's quick, and it says everything you want to and mocks them at the same time. That's why they hate it. They hate
Yes.
being taunted because that's their game.
But
Their game is to
that's what
taunt
they
you.
do. Right.
Yeah,
And
that's
they
what they
mock and
do.
belittle everybody, anybody they think is beneath them, which is most people, because
Yep.
obviously in their minds, they're awesome and amazing. So I think overall it's a good thing. And it was encouraging to me to see other people calling her out when she put out that nasty video and not letting her get away with her
Hmm.
BS, because she was trying to sell courses. She was trying to make
Yeah.
money off of this stuff, and I'm like, "Oh
Hmm.
my god, these narcissists and their schemes."
Yep.
It was very encouraging that other people were willing to call her out and the other people like her who are doing the same thing.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. It was very, very, very refreshing. So, but this was great. I mean, this was an amazing talk, and it really was. So I
I know
really appreciate it.
we could probably spend 10
I could.
hours going back and forth with this, just the
We
crazy
can, well,
stories that we have.
well, I'm sure we
Um,
can do something again,
yeah,
political or
definitely.
narcissism. I mean, this has been a great outlet. I always enjoy doing these type of discussions with people,
Yeah,
because it
I
really just gives perspective to so many others watching.
Yeah, and so many people hear those stories and they're thinking of their own stories that are
Yep.
similar, which
Yep.
is a good thing. And I've done, videos before about narcissism, different aspects of it. I've done videos on covert narcissism, on grandiose narcissism, and I've never had a conversation with somebody who is also educated on it and experienced the same thing where we've been able to
Right.
share stories like that. So I hope people really enjoy hearing this. Even though it's crazy, I hope that
Right.
it helps people though. If you have narcissistic parents, if you have, it may not even be parents, it may be another family member though, that you can relate to this and just know that you're not alone. There's other people who have experienced this. You're not crazy. And it's okay to cut people off that are toxic and abusive. That doesn't make you a bad person, and there's a whole community of people out there that you can make contact with, people like Ollie, like myself, who've experienced it, and you can kind of find validation there of other people who've gone through it and turned out okay,
Hmm.
didn't end up
Yep.
totally crazy, which unfortunately has happened to some people. There are people who've been raised by narcissistic parents who become addicts,
Oh
or they're
yeah.
have their lives literally destroyed in one way or another, where
Hmm.
the narcissistic parent runs out every single person from their life, isolates them completely. And it's hard when you don't have anybody else to talk to about it.
Hmm.
So hopefully this video is helpful for people. Hopefully it was informative. I found it fascinating too, hearing about your
Yeah.
parents and just knowing that, like, okay, my mother was bad, but
But
it could have
listen,
been
could have
worse.
been, but here's the thing. And this is what the last thing on and we can close up. My broken plate theory. And because I hear this from my subscribers all the time. I have a story. I didn't have it as bad as you. Wasn't as like you don't have to validate yourself. Broken is broken. You take a plate and you smash it on the ground. It matters not whether that plate it breaks in half, in quarters, in eighth, or shatters. That plate will never be the same. No matter what you do, you could glue it together, you could do it. That plate will never be the same. Broken is broken. And you don't need to validate it or put it on some kind of scale or compare your abuse to anybody else's as far as is it worse or better. It doesn't matter. You're broken and you'll never be the same again, no matter what. You can never be made what you were before that narcissist destroyed you. So that's when the narcissist comes in and starts telling you, okay, well, maybe I did this and that, but there were so many good memories. There was so many of all this I did for you and that I did for you. And this is my response. And this is what you got to remember on the broken plate. Once you're broken, and now you got this broken plate that's now been put back together, you could take your favorite meal, don't matter what it is, and serve it on that broken plate. It's still a broken meal. It's still a broken meal on a broken plate because there's still glue and shards and remnants of that abuse, no matter what. And that's the broken plate theory. And that's why you don't worry. Abused is abused, broken is broken. And I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I think that's true. Well, tell people where they can find you. I know you are still on YouTube, but you're also on Rumble, and
I'm on YouTube.
we've
I'm on
talked
Rumble.
about Rumble.
I'm on, yeah, just societal narcissism on Rumble, societal narcissism on YouTube. You can find me on X at Ollie Matthews 14. Um, and I don't use Telegram. I don't trust it. I do have Telegram. Don't use it. All my links are in the description box of every video. So if you want to find me, follow me, you know what to do. Just click on the links, follow me on whichever platform makes you the most comfortable. Hopefully it's Rumble because I am still monetized over there and I'm trying to build my base. I got, 1,500 subscribers on Rumble. I got 32,000 on YouTube. Yet, I can't get these people to go and click a link because I'm
I've
really
had
only
people tell
touching
me,
maybe
"Oh, you need
5%.
to get a Rumble channel. You got to get a Rumble channel." I created a Rumble channel, and none of those people who were telling me to make a
Yep.
Rumble will follow
Yep.
you to Rumble.
Yep.
It's like,
You know
oh
what you
my
need to do? You
gosh.
know what you need to do? More,
Like, yeah.
yeah, more business advice. Thank you for the business advice.
Right.
So,
Or more work to put in for, like,
yes,
the two people who were going to see it
right,
over there.
right. For you and who else? Like for one person, I'm going to do all this work for you. So
But
you don't have to click a link.
hopefully we can get more people using alt tech. I hope certainly that that happens because it's I don't think it's going to get better. I think that the censorship is going to get worse. I think we've been given a brief respite, but I don't
Hmm.
trust that that is going to be the case forever. And so yeah, I want to get people used to at least
Not until
using.
Congress codifies some of these executive actions because the next
Yes,
president is going to, overturn
try
it
to
now.
undo it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's my concern.
Hmm.
So yeah, I will include in the video description. I'll put up a link to your stuff so people can find your links from
I'll do the
there.
same for you. No problem.
Awesome. Awesome. I
So,
appreciate it. It was really fun talking to you, and I
same
hope
here.
everybody enjoyed getting to hear a little bit more about our backgrounds and
Yep.
our insane parents and how we were
Absolutely.
raised.
Yep. And, you got a great, you do. You have a great channel. You got great topics. So, congratulations. And, everybody's welcome. So, feel free. And I really
Yeah.
appreciate the access to your channel and your people.
Yeah,
And, I wish you nothing but the best. And thank you again
definitely.
for having my back.
Likewise, I think we, cover similar things in some regards. So there
Hmm.
is that overlap. I think that our audiences would appreciate your videos as much as they'd appreciate mine. So hopefully
Hmm.
we can get some of that cross promotion going. I think that that's a good thing.
For
So
sure.
people support Ollie. The channel is Societal Narcissism. Links will be in the video description. And we will wrap it up here. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you in the next video.